Oh, man. Man. Shout out to our guy Ron from Cleveland, man, because good Lord, Ron Cleveland, I should say. Shout out to you, man, because that's how I feel about tonight. This game was tough, but hey, let's get into it. Knicks entered this one after winning a stunning game against the Chicago Bulls yesterday in overtime. And look, they entered this game looking to get some revenge against the Cleveland Cavaliers, who, had a nice fourth quarter comeback early on in the season. And so the Knicks entering tonight, you thought that this would be a good contested game. The way that they started out, Knicks were hitting their shots early on. Jalen Brunson was ready to go. He was ready to go toe-to-toe with Donovan Mitchell. However, a few early turnovers decided to change the entire script of this game. And then all you get is the Cleveland Cavaliers bombing away from downtown. I mean, they shot over 50% from behind the arc. And then, of course, this thing just started to go from worse to ugly in a matter of seconds. The New York Knicks were not playing defense. There were no coaching changes in the second half. We had nothing to be prepared for the onslaught the Cleveland Cavaliers were ready to do to the New York Knicks tonight. And so ultimately, the Knicks would fall 142, and I'm not stuttering when I say this, 142 to 105. The Knicks are now 0-6 against the Boston Celtics, Cleveland Cavaliers, and the Oklahoma City Thunder. We do not get a win against any of the top teams yet in the NBA, but we continue to chug along. Make sure to call in, man. Make sure to call in tonight through the Discord. Download the app. Go through the web browser, whatever fits your fancy. Make sure to call in because I need to hear your takes tonight. What do you think about the Knicks? What do you think needs to change for this team, man? It's just looking ugly. And with me on the other side is my guy JD Sports Talk. You already know he's ready to give the analysis and break everything down of what we saw tonight. So make sure to hit that thumbs up button for your boys. Make sure to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so. And make sure to support our sponsor, Underdog Fantasy. Use that promo code KFTV to get up to $1,000 in instant bonus cash and a free pick. JD, you asked me yesterday, bro, did I think, should this be a must-win game? And I said yes. Now, prior to that, because I know it's running throughout all social, and shout out to CP for, stirring the pot and get everybody angry, saying there's no such thing as a must-win game. People be like, a must-win game in February. But before that, we talked about everyone being back and healthy. But, still look for this game to be at least competitive, even if we didn't have Josh Hart tonight. We didn't even get that, bro. We didn't even get that tonight. We didn't get nothing tonight outside of Jalen Brunson being the only guy, maybe a little bit of Karl-Anthony Towns, that showed any heart tonight and ready to compete. Just very disgusting, man. What are your thoughts on this game so far? Well, what are your thoughts on this game? Not even so far. What are your thoughts on this game, bro?
It was an utter embarrassment, man. Just an embarrassment. It was pathetic. It was disgusting. It was just sickening, an abomination.
Let it all out, JD. Use all the words. Use all the words.
It was nasty, filthy, ugly, not appetizing. It was, man, it's, man, you are lost for words. This is how I know it is. It is bad when you're lost for words, bro. Because you know what I'm doing as I'm trying to think of what to say. I'm doing what probably a lot of Knicks fans tonight are doing, and that is just wondering, is this team good enough? That is wondering, did this front office, did this team potentially make a mistake that could be the mistake that could kill this window? Did this front office make the one move too many that could be the move that has crippled the ability to make this team better due to the CBA? And it could be to a point where the front office may now enter, with a lot of front offices enter, when they go and they establish a team. Phoenix Suns, see the Milwaukee Bucks. You see these teams now that we're giving an opportunity with a certain core. And I would think, and I think those front offices have waited a year too late to make a move because they wanted to give that core an extended period of time to figure it out. And in my opinion, those cores were giving a year too much of an experiment. In other words, those front offices did not pivot early enough. Therefore, you will see Kevin Durant traded in the offseason. You will see that Phoenix Suns team dismantled this offseason. And soon, we may not see Giannis as a Milwaukee Buck because I don't know how else the Milwaukee Bucks get better around him with an aging Damian Lillard and Kyle Kuzma. So, as a Knicks fan, I look at our situation and I look at the fact that we're 0-6 versus the elite teams, the top of the top, the teams that, potentially, listen, let's see what happens with OKC in the West. They're a young team in the playoffs, but in the Eastern Conference, there's no sugarcoating what's likely going to happen. And what's likely going to happen is you're going to face the Boston Celtics in the second round. Because the Knicks will go on and they'll beat the teams they need to beat. They'll beat the mid-tier teams. They'll beat some of the next-tier good teams. So they'll have a record good enough to be a 2nd or 3 seed, which means, based on seeding, they will face the Celtics in the second round. And if you get further than that, then you'll face the Cleveland Cavaliers. And the fact of the matter is, not this year. And if, in my opinion, the way it looks like it, this team stays together, not next year. This roster is just not good enough to compete against the Cleveland Cavaliers and the Boston Celtics.
Now, JD, I'm looking at, social media, because, well, I'm a guy who takes a lot of notes. I know you do. I know CP does. Like, when we're watching these games, man, we take notes, and I can tell, like, how the game's going based on how the lack of detail decides to, in me just like, there's nothing. Like, I chalked it up after this first half, man. Like, I didn't need to go that much into, memorize each and every single play, just look at how coaching strategy, stuff of that nature. I mean, that was all out the window. But when I'm going, so outside of me just taking notes, I decided to like pivot over to social media. What is the fan base saying, right? Go over to Facebook, go over to X, go to Instagram. What is everyone talking about? And now I'm looking at this and I see that there's like kind of like a polarizing difference on how fans feel about, this is only the regular season. Because what was it? Earlier today, as I said, CP put out there saying, I said this is a must-win game. We talked about it yesterday. Some fans are saying these type of games don't really matter during the regular season. Get me to the playoffs. I see same thing on Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it, where fans are saying, hey, let's just get to the postseason. Anything is possible. We could still make it to the ECF. We may not play Boston. We may not play Cleveland, and we could still make it to the ECF. If you're hearing those fans right now, what are you thinking when you hear those thoughts?
That we can make it to the ECF?
Yeah.
That you need to get drug tested. You need to go to Google and click on, make sure your location's on, right? Because when you go to Google and you search something, the pop-up sign pops up notification that says allow. You allow them to check your location so they can give you the nearest drug centers that are nearest to you. I think you need to do that. And you need to make sure that you drink enough water, go into those centers and get drug tested. Because again, now listen, there's still going to be some fans out there that are going to say, JD, for some reason or whatever the case, I still, there's going to be that percentage of fans that says, I just still want to get Mitch back. I want to get Josh Hart back. I still, for whatever, blah, 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 I don't fear the Cavaliers. Okay, fine. If that's what you want to do. You don't want to give respect to the Cleveland Cavaliers. Go ahead. Go ahead. Guess what? We're not going to see that because of seeding. We're not going to find out because the Cleveland Cavaliers look like they're going to lock in the number 1 seed, which means we're going to be the 3 of the 2, which means if we get past the first round, we're going to face the Boston Celtics in the second round. And so I guess if you're of the ones that believes that we can beat the Cavaliers, then to you, the second round is the ECF. Right? Because if you think they're going to beat the Cavaliers, then the second round, that's your ECF matchup, I guess. Because if the Knicks beat the Celtics, then they're going to beat the Cavaliers, right? So that's why there's just no way. The only route this year is through the Celtics. And that's why to give this team even the slimmest chance they have, I'm hoping they get the number 2 seed just so you can at least get home court advantage and try to win a game within the first 2 games of a series. So you don't go down 0-2 going to Boston. And then at that point, who knows, might get swept. So I just don't, and I'll say this, when I say roster, I also mean the head coach. Because I'm sick and tired of, we do this thing with the media and everything where it's always analysis on the roster and the players. And the way we criticize a player's development, did a player get better? Did a player have a tough week? Right? How many times we say, Precious had a tough week. Oh, this week he's been good. Last week he was bad. We do that. We do this week to week, game to game analysis of professional players. We don't do that as much to coaches. It's like they get a pass. Like, that's it. Tom Thibodeau's not getting a pass anymore. You know why he's not getting a pass anymore? Because, bro, what was that graphic I saw online? How many, these large deficits? First of all, the 42-point deficit tonight is the largest deficit in the Tom Thibodeau era. We've played OKC, Celtics, and the Cavaliers, and we're getting smoked. Remember I just said last night, we were joking about it. Please don't get smoked by the second quarter.
Right.
We were talking about, CP and the watch party. Please give CP an opportunity to say defense in the third quarter. And the same thing happened. You cannot tell me, listen, there's one thing that we're not good enough. We're not as good as them. You mean to tell me that these teams are 40 points better than us? And you mean to tell me that every single time we're playing them, we're getting smoked on national television, and literally by the second quarter, you're previewing the second game in a doubleheader of the national TV schedule because the game is already over?
It's nasty work.
We're not prepared. We're going in with the same game plan throughout. We're not making adjustments with our lineups, with our substitutions. We're not. Remember what I said last night about being wacky. Try something different. Try something new. We're not doing nothing. So at some point, all I'm saying is 2 things can be true, and it's okay, guys. It's okay to say that the head coach has peaked. It's okay. It doesn't mean that I'm hating or that I respect him, and he's done a great job. He's done his job. He's come in here. He's established the culture. We've gotten respect. Even on the national media, we've gotten some respect to the point where you even had Charles Barkley for half of the season. One of the known Knicks hater, you've had Charles Barkley for half of the season saying, I still think the Knicks are the second best team in the East. Tom Thibodeau and this coaching staff and this infrastructure, they deserve credit for that. We're gotten to a point where Giannis is having a press conference and he's name dropping the New York Knicks when he made jokes about the Luka trade. And he says maybe the next European Jokic should be on the Knicks. So that means you have players around the NBA finally thinking about the New York Knicks as a final destination, but for basketball reasons, not because of endorsements, not because of the arena, for basketball reasons. You got to give Tom Thibodeau credit for that. He's gotten us to this point. And with all that, it's also okay to say that we don't believe that he is the guy that's going to get us to the promised land. You can give constructive criticism, which I don't even know if it's constructive criticism because I'm projecting. I'm giving a perspective, a vision. And I don't know if that's necessarily constructive criticism if I say I don't think he's quite the guy to get us there. So you can be balanced in your approach with this head coach and say, listen, give him credit, but also might not be the guy to get us to the ultimate goal. Because guess what? I, as a Knicks fan, if one day we get to the championship, I'll look back and say, yo, it started with him. He was a part of the journey that propelled us to that point. A lot of Golden State Warriors fans give credit to Mark Jackson.
Hey, you could say Cavs fans are going to give credit to JB Bickerstaff, man. You got Kenny Atkinson there doing the same thing right now.
So and JB Bickerstaff is in Detroit doing a good job.
Yeah, man. And look,
right?
Look, yeah, for sure. And look, you know, I don't like you're preaching right now. I totally hear your point, and I don't even necessarily disagree. I think Tibbs does have a ceiling just because you need guys who are a little bit more creative to take you to that next step. I think the difficulty in this season is when you have to compare the roster to what he's given. And I think what's going to be the fallback this season is that for the front office, because Leon and Tibbs are close, man. Look, he's taking this team to the postseason 3 out of the last 4 years. He's about to be the fourth time this year out of 5. So he's going to get one more shot at it. And the reasoning is going to be that, hey, this is the first year that this roster's put together, right? And so they're probably going to think, let's give him one more chance. Cap's going to go up next year. We can go out and get some guys. Maybe we can add to this and change things up a little bit and give it that test. And I see your face because I know what you're going to go back to. I already know what you're thinking right there because you already talked about it. You brought up the Phoenix Suns. You brought up teams that are like, is it waiting 1 year too long to make that decision? And hey, this is what the front office gets paid to do, man. But I'm telling you this right now. That is going to be the thought process because when it comes to making a coaching decision, it can either go like we talk about coaches where it could be a Steve Kerr from Mark Jackson. We look at Kenny Atkinson from a JB Bickerstaff. You can go back to when Phil Jackson took over the Chicago Bulls, right? We know that there's coaches that are capable of taking it to another level. But at the same time, there are also coaches that you may put in position of power and that just could may tank it to the next level. All right. And so that's the thing where this team is in that quandary. And a good example would be, when they went from why am I forgetting the head coach of the the tanking Sixers and went to Doc Rivers right afterwards, right? We had Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid. I can't remember his name right now, but they went from him to Doc Rivers. Didn't take it far. You know what I mean? And now look where they are.
You mean in Milwaukee?
No, I'm not talking. No. I'm talking about Sixers when it was like Ben Simmons. It was oh my God, I'm forgetting the coach's name. I'm sure the people in the chat will.
Brett Brown?
Yeah, it's Brett Brown. Yeah.
Brett Brown, right?
Yeah, Brett Brown.
The guy from the Spurs. The guy that he's a protege of Greg Popovich, went to the Spurs, was there for a couple of the tank seasons.
Yep.
And then he was there enough to when they had Embiid and Simmons.
Yep. So Brett Brown to Doc Rivers. And they're like, hey, let's bring in Doc. He could be that guy to take us to that next level. That didn't work. And so this is where, to your point, this is it, the Knicks are at that juncture. They're almost there right now, because the whole thing that's still going to hold this entire thing up is what do they do in the postseason? That's even though we're watching it unfold during the regular season, they're going to still say, hey, man. And that's why I asked the question. I'm not saying to get into the ECF. That's just the conversation going around social media. And I just wanted to pose it to you. But it's just going to be a difficult conversation, man. It's starting now, because every single time I'm watching this, it's like, and I just don't know how you can't have a competitive game. And at some point, it goes to both the coaches and the players. The players have to get up for this, but the fact, like I said, is only Jalen Brunson's out there. You know what I mean? Like, Jalen Brunson's the only one that's going out there that's like actually giving a damn in this matchup. Like, he knows what's on the line. And people got to stop saying games don't matter. We had these guys, Josh Hart and Jalen Brunson, were on their own pod, and they knew how important defeating the Oklahoma City Thunder were and what it meant to the fan base and all of that. And so they understand these matchups. They know what it means for them. And so that's why I say, like, when you asked me yesterday, is this tonight, a must-win game? I thought it was for morale for this team. Even if you're down Josh Hart, And I don't know, man. This team is it's just disheartening, man, because we can't hang with any of the good teams. We really are that distant third that Wendy is saying. It's just hard to just watch this and actually digest it and be like, wow, this may be it, man.
That's what I'm saying. It has to be something more than just like we're literally going into these games and we're competitive at the tip-off. It's the only time we're competitive, to jump the ball, to see who gets the ball. After that, it's over. Like, it's over in these games. It's crazy. And the thing is, the confidence that the opponents are having against us, the elite teams, they're just so confident. They're playing around. They are like shooting the lights out. Our defense has been absolutely embarrassing. Like, embarrassing. Tonight, not even your quote unquote best defenders were defending tonight. Like, tonight, it's not only about Jalen Brunson at the point of attack and Karl Anthony Towns with the pick and roll and rim protection. No. Tonight, it was Precious Achiuwa was awful defensively, especially to start the game where Evan Mobley was beating him backdoor, running faster than him down the court. Yeah, OG Anunoby should have stayed home tonight. He should have stayed home tonight. And I don't care that he's coming back from injury. His effort was embarrassing. OG had an embarrassing effort tonight. And Mikal Bridges, oh my God. You know what? Just go. Just go, Alex. Mikal Bridges. Oh my God.
You don't want to talk about Mikal Bridges, or maybe we just gotta give JD a little bit more time, and then maybe we'll bring this.
My God. Don't count them. Don't count. Jesus Christ. I'm gonna. I don't even want to. Just
man, go. Look, it's tough, man. And we talked about, look, and here's where we had another conversation yesterday, right? Where it's like, who had more on the line? And shout out to Karl Anthony Towns. He played a good game, very efficient. I thought he was doing a good job against Evan Mobley and Jarrett Allen. And from the offensive perspective, obviously we know you're not going to get a lot defensively out of him. But Wingstop, man. I mean, this is just bad. And
Wingstop.
Look, OG, yeah, it's not even there. Yeah,
it's more like popcorn chicken.
Popcorn chicken.
Wingstop. They're not even wings. They're popcorn chicken.
If there was a letter grade right now for this restaurant, it is a C, because it's hanging on by a line, man. Those C's that you see in New York City where it's like A, like cleanliness, sanitation. This is a C, man. But look, and I knew this would be a tough matchup based on what the Cavs could do, but from the rip, man, it's just 16 turnovers. A lot of them in the first half. And what really bothers me is that we just kind of let it go in the second half. Like, we send out the same thing, Precious. And we saw in previous matchups, I forget which one it was, where Tibbs actually put McBride trying to compete. And I think that was actually against the Celtics. We'd even do that tonight. And it's too much, man. There's a lot in my brain right now that I'm trying to digest after what I witnessed tonight. But it just keeps, I don't know how it can continue to get worse and worse and worse and worse after every single top matchup. And it's not like it ends here. We are going into Boston Sunday, matinee game.
Oh my God. On national TV. Oh.
We are going into Boston on Sunday at 1 p.m. And I don't know if Josh Hart's going to be back for that one. I don't know what's going on. I don't know if OG's going to be even there for that one. I mean, he had a scary fall where he's holding his foot. I was like, good Lord, man. Is this the same thing where, he comes back after the whole, whatever, bone spurt thing that he had last season, and then he's gone again? I'm like, just enough. And it's tough, man. It truly is tough. I don't even know. I'm at a loss for words at this point. So, you know what we're going to do, man? Let's get to the callers, man, because I want to hear what people have to say. We've talked long enough and tried to break this thing down, man. I'm just still stunned. So let's make sure to let's get to the phones right now. Salute to Knicks Nation. Thank you all for tuning in for another KFTV post game live. The Knicks fall to the Cleveland Cavaliers, 142-105. Let's get to the lines. Pops the legend. Unmute your mic, my man. Pops, are you there? I want to hear what you got to say, man. Pops going once. Pops going twice. Pops the legend, man. I was hoping they'd be ready. All right, let's go. Let's go to Say Quizzy. Say Quizzy, are you ready? Say Quizzy, are you ready to talk about this game tonight?
I'm always ready.
There you go. There we go. See, when I say
ready.
your name, you got to be ready to go. What up, Say Quizzy?
But this game, like I said yesterday, I said just keep it a close game, and I'm happy with that. And we blew it early. Brunson scored the first 9 points for us. Once he and we were still down by 11, but once he sat down, went down to a 19-point lead. The defense sucked. It seems like no team is scared of us. They just spray threes and everything go in. And then Bridges. Oh, man. When Brunson got in foul trouble, I was like, yo, Bridges, this is your time. It's only going to be really you and Cat out there that's going to be taking the most shots. So let's be aggressive. Bro did nothing. He looking like a Sims 2.0. Looking at the rim and looking at the pass the ball. He not even trying to score. He picked it up in the third quarter, but at that moment, we was down by 30. So it was like, what are you doing? Like, that's what we wanted you to do when Brunson got in foul trouble, to be aggressive. You're doing it when we down by 30. Then we got Hunter out here off the bench, 16 points, and only missed one shot and only played 19 minutes. And Bridges played 29. And you only gave us 14. And most of those points was third quarter, basically with Cavs probably not even playing 100% defense because the game is already over. And then out of the 6 games with OKC, Boston, and the Cavs, 4 of those games are over by halftime. We're already down by 20. We're not even keeping it close. Like, I can't even have hope thinking like, yo, we going to win this game. Nah, it's over in the second quarter. And for that Sunday game, I'm giving it to the second quarter, and then I'm turning my TV off and going playing 2K or something because it is looking bad. I don't know why Shamit playing. That's another thing.
Oh my God, jeez!
I don't know
oh
why
my God! Please, for the love of God and for all things holy, I don't need to see any more Shamit minutes out there on the. Whew. He had Donovan Mitchell too. I was like, what is happening out here? That man, you want to talk about getting flambéed? That man was getting cooked.
So I'm not even a professional basketball player, but I think I could go out there and run around. I could do that because it's looking bad. Brunson showed up. Cat had a better game tonight, but OG came back. He was falling on the ground. This is his first game. Give him a pass, but it's not looking good for the top teams.
It's not at all, bro. It's not at all. Appreciate the call as always, Say Quizzy, man. Appreciate the call as always. Man, this Shamit minutes are killing me, man. Like, bro, you're brought in here to be a 3-point specialist off the bench. And, he had, 1, maybe 2 good games. And now I'm watching him have to guard Donovan Mitchell. And, look, energy is one thing, but production is a whole other level, okay? A for effort, but the execution out there is getting tough to watch, man. And this is kind of where I'm like, I get the whole coaching aspect where, once again, you could say, Tibbs, why aren't we making the adjustments? All that. But it's also I look at the talent, we need Mitch, man. We need Mitch. We need some things. I'm not even saying Mitch is the savior, but we need some help. We absolutely need some help. Sheesh. Yo, we're getting a lot of super chats. So let me get some shout outs to some super chats first before we keep going on through the call. Shout out to Brooklyn Vega for becoming a franchise channel member. Shout out to you. We got a $10 super chat from GQ. Says 2 seasons ago, Cleveland didn't belong on the court with us. Cleveland essentially still has the same core. The one major change they had is the one the Knicks continue to ignore. Talk about Tom Thibodeau. Shout out to Exquisite with the $5 super chat saying Knicks versus NBA's top 3 2023 to 2024 win percentage 22%. Net minus 20 2024. I guess you're saying 2024 to 2025 win percentage 0%. Net minus 128. Oof. Don't want to see those numbers. Yo, we got a $100 super chat from the rhyme animal and legend himself, Chuck D. Shout out to you, Chuck. Throw a hashtag P in the chat. Says, more than ever, the regular season and playoffs are two different leagues on two planets. So what? We 0-6 against teams that got one ring. Game one, whoever we play wherever, because 4-7 games against one team is way different. Regular season is ego. Nobody remembers February when you win game one. It's got 6 likes too. People are agreeing with Chuck D, my man. People are agreeing with Chuck, and I see Chuck's on the line. We're gonna hold Chuck for the final call, man. We'll have him as the closer for tonight's show, man. We're gonna have you as the closer. But wow, let's see. And then we got GQ with another $10 super chat saying the opposing team's confidence comes from them knowing how we're going to play and match up. There's no adjustments, same offense and defense every night. And Del Will with the $5 super chat. Shout out to you for being a franchise channel member as well. Says Cat's new nickname is the Big Turnstile. Oof. Man. Getting roasted out here. All right, man. Shout out to all you for giving me the super chats. Let's get to the next call. Let's get to LD, man. I know LD's got something to say about Tom Thibodeau. LD, if you're there, unmute your mic. What's going on, bro?
Yo. What's up?
Yo. What's going on? I know what you're ready to talk about, man. So let's hear it.
Nah.
No. You ain't gonna fool me like that, bro. You ain't gonna fool me like that.
I got you. First things first, there's only 2 overall rosters in the league that I believe are better than ours. OKC and the Rockets. Overall roster from 1 to 15 and G League. That's 1. So I believe, I've said it multiple times, Leon has done his job. Over a 5-year span, since Tom Thibodeau has been here, including this season, no team in the NBA has dribbled more per possession and held the ball more per possession than the Knicks. We're number 1. Going into this season's All-Star break, the Knicks had the easiest schedule in the league. Not one of, the easiest schedule. Why am I bringing this all up? It seems like, and every time I call here, there's usually tomatoes in the chat whenever I give this opinion, even after wins. If Tom
Thibodeau some right now, don't worry.
That's fine. They do whatever they want. If Tom Thibodeau does not have exactly what he needs to win a game, he cannot adjust. So when we miss OG or Hart or Mitch, even when these players are playing, things have to go exactly how Tom Thibodeau drew it up before the game in order for us to win. I don't know what's going on with Josh Hart. I don't know how long that's going to take from what I've seen. It doesn't seem like it's just, minor bruises. But either way, right? It seems like every single time, if he does not have exactly what he needs, the exact roster, the exact perfect roster, he cannot make adjustments at all. I'm not scared of the Cavs. I think we could beat them with bully ball. We've done this before. They're a better team this year, fine. But I still don't trust them. Donovan Mitchell has shown even in the Jazz, he will have a great regular season. Whatever. I'm not really scared of them. The issue is, though, if you watch today's game, Donovan Mitchell picks a spot, 2 dribbles, gets the job done. Evan Mobley picks a spot, 2 dribbles, gets the job done. Jalen Brunson, for the 3rd year in a row, dribbles per touch, seconds per touch, leads the league. So I know we keep talking about defense, and I've heard folks say, our offense is good. Again, we had the easiest schedule going into the All-Star break. And every time I call here and they throw tomatoes at me, even after wins, I'm like, yo, if we are talking about winning a championship, these red flags keep glaring, but it seems like it's only when we play OKC and Boston and the Cavs that folks are like, oh my God, we're not as good as they are. We should be because we have the roster. But again, Tom Thibodeau does not make the right adjustments. Ever.
Wait, you said that the only 2 rosters in the NBA that are better than the Knicks from top to bottom.
Yes.
You said it's OKC and the Houston Rockets.
Yes. I believe that 100%.
Let me ask you a question.
Yes.
Have you gotten a glance at the Boston Celtics roster?
Yes. And they're not 1 to 15 better than the Knicks.
Okay. Let me ask you a question.
Uh-huh.
Who do you think is better? Peyton Pritchard or Deuce McBride?
Peyton Pritchard is what, their 6th man? Right?
He's their guard off the bench, just like McBride for us. Who's better?
McBride is going to be our 8th because Josh Hart is coming off the bench when Mitch comes back, or Mitch is coming off the bench when he comes back.
But we're talking roster, so we're talking matchup to matchup. We're talking
We're
guard
talking 1
production.
to 15. That's exactly what I said. I said I do not believe anybody but OKC and the Rockets have a better 1 to 15 than the Knicks.
So, who do you think is better, Jaylen Brown or Mikal Bridges?
Jaylen Brown.
Jason Tatum or OG Anunoby?
Jason Tatum.
Kristaps Porzingis or who do you want? Karl Anthony Towns? Now, how about Josh Hart or whoever?
Josh Hart. You want to keep going?
So you're saying you think Josh Hart? I mean, you could Josh Hart, Derek White, but you're
Josh
saying
Hart.
roster. So we're going 1 through 15.
Yes.
There's no way. The
Yes,
Celtics
hold on.
roster.
Don't do that.
The Celtics roster is built perfectly for their style. That's the problem. Our roster is not, because we have glaring deficiencies. You know what's one of them that gets exposed every time we play good teams? You know what's one of them? We must be the worst team in the NBA finishing at the rim, and it gets exposed when we play good teams.
Whoa. Do you know why though? You know why?
You know why? You know why? Because it's skill. OG Anunoby, skill. Can't finish at the rim. Precious Achiuwa, skill. Can't finish at the rim.
That's incorrect.
Deuce McBride, 6'1". Can't finish at the rim.
That is incorrect. Here's why it's incorrect. Because when OG Anunoby joined the Knicks, guess what he did not have to do? And I'll say this, right? Because when I said it initially, people got upset at me. OG Anunoby, I thought RJ Barrett and Julius Randle were the worst at dribbling in the paint. OG Anunoby is the worst. But that's why we brought him here, so he doesn't have to dribble going into the paint. We're supposed to create space, just like Sean Marion did not have to dribble going into the paint when he played for the
But bro,
literally,
he can't even finish at the rim on a fast
because
break.
It's cluttered. He's having to create his own shot going
No. You're not getting what I'm saying. When he's on a fast break, when there's no clutteredness, there's no other players on the court but him and a 6'1" Donovan Mitchell, he can't finish over him.
Just stop that. We're not going to use today's game as the standard.
Today. Have you seen his layup package? He shoots a layup under his shoulder. He's not coordinated to be a smooth player at the rim.
We're not doing this. We're literally not going to do this. No. We're not doing
crazy. That's crazy. If you think OG going to the Celtics is going to improve his finishing at the rim,
100%, because it will create space for him every possession.
I don't think you're getting what I'm saying. I'm talking about finishing at the rim with a contest. I'm not talking about, he's going to go to the Celtics and he's going to get clear layups where there's nobody. I'm talking about at the rim, contact to contact, wingspan to contesting your layup. He can't finish over a contest.
Let me ask you this question then. Out of 100 possessions, how many times does OG have that specific scenario that affects everything else he can do? Because you're using one example as OG's identity. Let's say he breaks 100 layups.
What I'm saying is that's an issue for this team versus a Kristaps Porzingis, who, if you saw the earlier game, Josh Hart did not even think about going to the paint.
But you see, this is the issue.
Every time Josh Hart got close to the rim, he dribbled back because he's 6'4", and these guys cannot finish over a Kristaps Porzingis.
But again,
these guys cannot finish over a Evan Mobley. So that is affecting them, because these are not players that are typically confident going to the rim and finishing over length. That's the problem. That's a problem.
This is the last point, LD, and then I got to drop you off.
I got you. It seems like every time people's issues glare under Tibbs. Remember when Obi Toppin? Remember Obi Toppin was trash, and all of a sudden he can just have space in Indiana? Remember when Isaiah Hartenstein was sitting on the bench for no reason, and then we finally realized, when you put him in the game, he can actually pick and roll? Like, it seems like everybody has an issue. Remember when RJ Barrett was just complete trash? Like, remember when he
I don't disagree with the head coach criticism.
So, like, we can't keep acting as if this is the identity and ignoring the coach.
No, I don't disagree.
Right,
I think the Celtics are better. I think the Celtics are a better roster, but I don't disagree with the head coach criticism at all.
All right, man. Wow.
You think the Knicks have a better roster than the Celtics?
No. What? Bro, if we had a better roster than the Celtics, we'd win. If there were answers, bro, we would have answers. Like, this is where I'm saying. This is where, like, I think the line gets a little too fuzzy.
He's talking as if Obi Toppin went to Indiana and became an all-star. Obi Toppin is the same player. But again, I think we were agreeing on the criticism, but we got a little bit off the rails there on the roster. There's no way that you can tell me the Knicks have a better roster. You can say we don't have to have a better roster than the Celtics and still not criticize the coach. Like, you can still criticize the coach even if you don't have a roster as good as the next opponent, right? Because that doesn't, like, the Knicks don't have to have the best roster in order for then now the head coach is on the spotlight. The Knicks roster right now is good, and the head coach could still be in the hot seat. So two things can be true.
For sure. And look, we had this crazy debate. Let's not forget 2 years ago when Jalen Brunson first arrived, and we went against the Miami Heat, a team that came through the play-in and went all the way to the NBA Finals. And let's talk about, strategy. How come we didn't space enough? We left Josh Hart out there instead of using Quentin Grimes, even though Quentin Grimes had the yips, man. It wasn't shooting threes, but yet he was the floor spacer that we need. Like, look, man, we can criticize the coach. We could talk about game plans, and we could see Eric Spoelstra use like a tin can, a rubber band, and a toothpick, and get this. And he can get himself from stuck up on an island and get back to the United States of America. But you can't just tell me that the Knicks have a better roster, and the only two that have a better, like, outside of OKC, which I could agree with, who's got depth. You can't tell me the Rockets are a better team, and then you can't tell me that team's got a better roster than the Cavs, who are deep as hell, by the way. They made some moves. Did we not just see DeAndre Hunter come off the bench and just knock down three after knock down three? Come on, man. But you want to talk about coaching? I'm here for it, man. I'm here to hear the criticism. It's just that's just not it, man. Not tonight. Not tonight. I can't go that direction tonight. And you can't tell me at the Celtics that I'm sorry. We got a better roster than the Celtics. I wish, man. Because then we wouldn't be having this conversation that we're having right now. Point blank, period. All right, man. Enough with that. Enough with that. Call back anytime though, LD. Appreciate the calls. All right. Even though you're getting tomatoes, we can make some ketchup. We can make some tomato. We can make some sauce out of it.
I wish we had Sam Hauser. I wish we had a lot of these players they have coming off the bench.
I mean, man, they have like Al Horford coming off the bench. You know what I mean? And he's still productive. So
Luke Cornett has turned into.
Don't even get it, please. Yeah. Please.
Luke Cornett.
Stop aggravating me now, because the fact that he has a ring. Him and Kristaps Porzingis have a ring with the Boston Celtics, both who are New York Knicks, aggravates the living daylights out of me. All right, man. Let's get to Ashwin. Ashwin, what's going on, my man? Unmute your mic. What's going on?
In KFTV, yes, Alex, CP, CK, they do amazing things, and I always support them. But I always relate to what JD says. And so the stuff that has been said, like Josh Hart is better than Derek White, insane. McBride is better than Peyton Pritchard, insane. The thing is, our perspective has been so skewed this regular season. We base our role players' performance against the average teams, like how they performed against Sacramento Kings or how they performed against Toronto Raptors, like what Precious did well against Kings or Raptors, or how Josh Hart did amazing jobs against, let's say, maybe Detroit Pistons or something. This team is built to win a championship, and we have to see what our role players are doing against the best teams. What has Josh Hart done against Celtics or against Cleveland or against OKC? What has McBride done against those teams? That we have to focus. That's the main thing that matters. What does it matter if OG gets a 40 against Denver Nuggets, young role players against Christian Braun or the other starters or the young players who are playing this year? And it's not about today. OG has many times blown open transition layup. Many times. He has failed many times, not just today. When he was healthy too. He does not has the fluidness like Jaylen Brown or some other wings out there. We have to understand that this is not the way. This is how we have to understand that this team has to revolve around Jalen Brunson. When Josh Hart was talking about the pride, the ego thing, he was indirectly almost absolutely talking about OG. He has 200 something million. That does not mean that we are not playing in a park that you have to say 50-50 basketball and play. He has to get his chance to go with his regular score by himself. He has to defend, he has to cut. How hard even Mobley was cutting today, how hard Cleveland players were cutting today. What was Precious doing? He could have cut that hard. He has the ability to cut towards rim that hard. Mikhail could have cut towards rim that hard. So apart from all that, I will give time to you. So I have just one last question for JD and you. I think apart from today's game, I was the most for me. You cannot win, absolutely cannot win with a center who has absolute zero chance at defending the center position. Carl Anthony Towns, as much as I love him, I think he's just a big cuddly panda with muscles and arms, and I absolutely adore muscles and fangs. I absolutely adore him. I absolutely adore him, but he has zero sense of playing at center. And OG and Mikkel and Hart, they cannot do anything if we have that worse of a center defending the center position. So I think that is the biggest problem that we have to address. And the coaching part is obviously right. I absolutely love Tips, but he has reached his limitations. But JD, what do you think about the point that I made about center? That's all.
Appreciate the call as always, Ashwin. Rate that call in the chat, man. 5 being facts, 1 being trash. Let us know what you think about Ashwin's call tonight, man. Yo, I mean, first of all, Ashwin making a lot of points, man. Where you're talking about players that just got to go out there, perform, play with heart, and that's all facts, man. And I feel like in too many of these big matchups, and I've said this in the past, where it just feels like the Knicks are just flat, man. They don't like. You said this too, JD. The Knicks have an X on their back, right? And I agree with you. Where you had all this hype, all this talk, where you're coming into this season where everyone's looking at you as like the second best team in the East. Everyone's talking about you having championship expectations, and everyone's like kind of overlooking the Celtics, overlooking other teams, and everyone's trying to make their mark in this league. And so when they see you on that schedule, when you're up next, whether you're in Madison Square Garden or on their turf, they're going to come out and compete, just like we see tonight against all the teams. Every time I do a game preview, every person that covers their respective team always talks about how big of a matchup it is against this team, that being the New York Knicks. And so for me, man, it's getting too repetitive where the Knicks just starting off slow and then they start to build up that energy, and it's like you can't be working like that. But Ashwin's question is that, do we have to have a serious conversation about the center position where Karl Anthony Towns' defensive deficiency is hurting this team, and that maybe we need to look elsewhere, whether that be Mitchell Robinson in the starting rotation, whether that's like, I'm not even going to say trading because I don't think that's going to happen. But what are we doing to correct that issue? Or do you even think it's a big issue at all?
It is the first or second biggest issue that they have with this current personnel. It is the biggest or second biggest issue that they have because, and it might be the biggest because I don't know if it's really a solvable issue. Karl Anthony Towns was next to the Defensive Player of the Year. Like, people forget, he had 4 other great defenders. Mike Conley, very good defender, even though he was older, still very good defender. And he was a better defender because he lost a step this year when Karl Anthony Towns was there. Anthony Edwards is one of the top defenders in the NBA when he's motivated. Jaden McDaniels got his big contract because he's a 3-and-D player, one of the top 4-5 wing defenders in the NBA. And then Rudy Gobert, who gets a lot of flack because in the playoffs he gets exposed, but in the regular season, he's definitely Defensive Player of the Year worthy. That's 4. You don't have 4 next to him here. And we haven't even seen him next to Mitch. So I know there's that fan base that is still holding out hope with Mitch and potentially him moving to the 4. But here's the problem with that. And I think that can work. To me, the problem is now Mikal Bridges. Too inconsistent as a defender. Can Mikal Bridges give me Jaden McDaniels? Right now, he hasn't. Right? And that's the problem is, okay, Mitch comes back. Okay, cool. Slide Karl Anthony Towns to the 4. What is that going to do to Mikal Bridges at the point of attack? When he's dying on screens, some games it's like he picks his spot. So I don't know if in the playoffs he's just going to be locked in on 48 minutes. Remember we talked about yesterday where you said, what you rather have? You rather have the clutch Mikal, where he's going to show up in those clutch moments? Or would you rather have a full game? Here we are. Look what happened today. You see what I said? I said, you may not get those opportunities in the fourth quarter if he doesn't show up in the first 3. We may not get that late game, last 3 minutes of the game opportunities if he just is coasting out there defensively. He's dying on screens. He's, getting beat off the dribble. It's like the thing about this team, man, is the identity. Everything is so easy against this team. I got Kenny Atkinson tonight after the game talking about how we had a chip on our shoulder. They had something to prove because of the 2023 playoffs. Last year, all the coaches were talking about how tough and gritty our teams were. From Monty Williams to Eric Spoelstra, even though Monty Williams wasn't a great coach last year, but he's a respected coach. But you had Eric Spoelstra, you had Michael Malone, you had all these coaches last year giving credit, and their messages were all consistent. This team is physical. This team is tough. This team is gritty. This team competes. This team has attitude. And this season, everybody is so comfortable talking about us on their pressers. Everybody's so comfortable about, we knew if we could do this, we were going to get what we wanted. There's something wrong there. There's something wrong there, I think, in the identity of this team. And against the elite teams, it's just we don't take nothing away from the opponent. Now, one thing that I can say that we take away, that we dictate that the other team has to do, there hasn't been one thing against these elite teams. And that, to me, although I know it's the regular season, that's the concern, is you see habits, when you see trends. It's been 6 games now, 30-plus points almost every single game. And you're going to tell me that is just a regular season thing, JD. It's just the season. Don't worry about it. We're going to lose the 30 again against the Celtics on Sunday, but don't worry about it. It's just the season. I get that, but there has to be something in the middle there, and that's what they have to fix. They got an opportunity to do that in the last 20, 5-plus games they have left.
Hey, this is where, and I think the question not necessarily the question, but, the solution, which even I believe that Mitchell Robinson will help. I'm not saying he's the elixir. I'm not saying he's a silver bullet. I think he will help just because of what he offers defensively. But now, where you still haven't seen Mitch back yet, who knows if we get him back on Sunday against the Celtics. But even though I said, yes, I would rather have Mitch return after the All-Star break, make sure that he's fully healthy, you still need time to, have him acquiesce to what this roster is. You still need time to see what it looks like with Cat and Mitch at the 4 and the 5. You still need time to create that cohesion on the court. And the longer we wait to get Mitchell Robinson back on the court, the shorter that we have to actually get things right. And, shout out to Kevin O'Connor, who's a friend of the program. He had Drew Hanlon on his show, and Drew Hanlon talks about how coaches, they don't show all their cards during the regular season. They save some of the good stuff for the postseason. At this point, I like, there are trends, right? There are trends that we see that's just kind of like, there's not really like a true formula or an answer if the basic stuff, or even if they're not using all of their tricks and we're getting our asses handed to us like this,
whooped.
Like what game plan can you come out with in the postseason that changes everything? And if you're going to incorporate a new player into that equation, I just don't see how you have a quarter of a season now to get that guy acclimated to what he needs. And especially where we know Mitch takes time. We know Mitch needs to get the ramp up period. We know Mitch needs to get his legs back under him. We had Stephon Marbury on the show, and he's like, yo, Mitch could be on the treadmill doing this and that and getting in condition. He's like, four full court sprints in this first game back, he's going to be gasping for air. You know what I mean? Because that's just different than doing normal cardio. And so the longer we got to wait for Mitch, man, the tougher I think it's just going to be for this team. And man, it's just tough, man. It is truly tough to watch, where there were so many high hopes at the beginning of the season. Now where you're looking at the competition that, you know, the expectation is like, all right, ECF. Like you make these moves, front office makes these moves because they believe like, yo, we had a diminished roster last season. And if we make these tweaks right here, you know, we lost in 7 games against the Pacers with an injured team. We should be able to make it to the next level. And now where you're just playing teams during the regular season, it's tough to stay optimistic when these games aren't even close. It'd be one thing if these games are close and we're losing. I'm like, we could get them, man. That's not a problem. Getting blown out, it's tough, man. It's tough. But hey, let's get back to the calls, man. Who else we got here? We got Ty from Harlem. Ty, what's going on, man? Unmute your mic. How you feeling tonight?
How you doing, Alex? What's going on, AD? My first time calling in. Hopefully my
Shout
mic is
you.
okay.
Yeah, your mic's crystal, man. Crystal clear. So what's going on, Ty? Thank you for calling. Appreciate your first time calling in, man. How you feeling?
I'm feeling good. I appreciate everything that you do for us and the content that you put out. I'm sorry about the noise in the background. My smoke detector is acting wonky. Sorry about that. But let's get to this. I just want to ask a real quick question because it's been on my mind since about around January, maybe even before, maybe like around the beginning of the all season. Do y'all think that Leon pulled the trigger too early on the win now mode? That's the question I really want to ask y'all because, for one, I think we had time to really develop this roster with the draft picks that we gave up for Mikal and with all the player movement that's going on for like pennies on the dollar. With Luka going to LA, Giannis potentially hinting that he might want to leave if the roster is not too good. I just really genuinely think that OG not having the skill set and the package that he has that we need for him to have, paying him $212 million is absurd. Mikal Bridges, he needs to get in the gym and get his weight up because he's constantly getting beat off the dribble or move it. Like, I don't understand what it is, maybe. And then we go to ISO Brunson, and then Cat being deteriorated to, like, he's being punished by younger, smaller, athletic guards. And that's kind of a problem for me because I don't think Mitchell Robinson is going to solve our perimeter defense as much as OG and Mikal is supposed to do that for us. Mind you, Brunson puts his body on the line. As much as we don't need him to do that, he puts his body on the line, leading the league in charges drawn. Maybe I'm wrong on that, but he leads, like, our point guard shouldn't have to go out there, go score, take charges, and then have to play make as well. That's absurd. Somebody has to come in and do something. And then as far as the bench goes, we knew the bench was going to be. What I wanted to say was a bad word, but we knew the bench was going to be.
Yeah, watch.
You feel me? The bench was going to be bad due to the fact we lost iHeart, we lost DiVincenzo, no Randall. So it was like we gave up everything we needed in the Mikal Bridges trade instead of using those picks to upgrade the roster, knowing that iHeart had a potential to leave, knowing that OG had something over our heads with the $212 million. It's like the Nets knew that they had leverage over us, and then OG knew that he had leverage over us as well. So it's like we kind of like just threw in this kind of just like, I want to say, just took the bait and just said, okay, we're just going to just pay this guy whatever he wants, and then we're just going to give up whatever we want because we know that the Knicks want to win a championship now. And I think that's the wrong formula to how we're going about it right now. I really think we had 2 more years or another year to really figure out who we're going to be as a team in the future and for right now. And that's all I really got to. That's really my take. So that's my question. I don't know. Do y'all think that Leon Rose pulled the trigger on the win now mode?
Appreciate the call, Ty. Appreciate the call. And to TM and to our chief mod and operator, TM. No, that is not our fire alarm. That is Ty, because as P McG said in the chat, shout out to you for being a franchise channel member. He said, your fire alarm is not malfunctioning, sir. Please cool off, because he was saying that he was spitting. So to Ty's question though, did Leon pull the trigger too early? I don't think that he pulled. It's a tough question. I don't even know what to say yes or no, because once again, we talked about the delicate balance. JD, you brought it up like year, right? Like now, do you pivot after what you're seeing right now? Because we're seeing what's happened to the Suns. We're seeing what the Bucks are going through. Do you pivot after this year? And I can't look at what Leon did this offseason and not understand why he did it. I mean, you had Julius Randle, who was in a position for a contract extension. And I think when you look at Randle and the player that he is, even though he was good for this team, what team is out there looking for Julius Randle to be part of their roster, right? And so where you have the Minnesota Timberwolves looking to offload Karl-Anthony Towns because they're in a situation where they don't want to have their books be out of whack going over the second apron and not being able to build or trade and do stuff of that caliber. It was like the perfect time for Leon Rose to make that move. But I think the one that JD's always going to talk about and is kind of alluding to, even though they don't want to talk about him yet, is one Mikal Bridges. Did we move too fast from a Mikal Bridges? I don't think the Randle trade was, even though I would have loved to seen it after what they did in January, and that story is great. Obviously, you need to have iHeart in that equation too. And that's the other thing. iHeart, we couldn't keep iHeart. He wanted to go get a bigger bag. So there's a lot of things that, too many moving pieces to say, could we have kept this all together for another year? And we also don't know what was going on behind the scenes of those, back channels that we always hear of. Like, what do players actually want? Who are they thinking about? Where they want to go to? There's a lot of stuff that goes on that we're not privy to, that I don't think it's for Leon Rose. He necessarily pulled the trigger too early. I think the question is, did he give up too much, especially when you look at the Mikal Bridges trade at this point, saying, what can we do now to pivot? Not necessarily trade, but is there another way we can get somebody else in here? JD, what are your thoughts?
I mean, let's be honest. That Randle team, you give them another year, they're not beating the Celtics this year. Like, they're not. What that team was, though, it was a team that had an identity and they had a connection with the fans. Right? Like they relate to the fans. Is part of the cloth of the city, right? In terms of, toughness, grittiness, not giving up, playing hard 48 minutes, competing. And so there was a connection to the fan base. And so that's why there's always that soft spot for them. And there's always going to be soft spot for even the core before them, in terms of the kids, because fans are naturally always going to be attached to homegrown players, to their own draft picks, right? You're going to have a longer leash. You're going to have more hope that Obi is going to develop, that Quentin Grimes can become Allen Houston, that, RJ Barrett could be Jimmy Butler or Paul Pierce, right? That quickly could be Tyrese Maxey. Like, you're always going to have that patience because that's what we do to homegrown players. So, but that team also had a ceiling. And to me, the Cat move, I'm fine with it. Because guess what? You can repivot. When you get talent, if you have to pivot, you have talent. It's easier to sell Cat to another team than, in my opinion, than it is Randle. I mean, look at the way he's playing this year. There was talk that the Minnesota Timberwolves wanted to move him, but they couldn't. Nobody wanted him. So, like, now they're stuck with that decision. Now they have to make a decision in the offseason with that, right? But to me, it's the Mikal move, man. That's the move. When I look at Shams today talking about Giannis is going to rethink things if Milwaukee doesn't sustain long-term success, when I look at how the whole Luka thing with the Lakers happened, who knows? We'll see, right? Like, weird things happen. You have the CBA, so we could be complaining about the 5 picks, but for all I know, you might be able to get Kevin Durant without having to. Well, I think Kevin Durant will be traded without assets. He's 37 years old. So
I got to get in on this conversation. Give me a second. I'm
wait a minute. Hey, 1 second. What are you doing at this party? Who are you? Who do you think you are?
I need like give me like 10 minutes, man. I'm gonna set up and get in.
You got something to say about this
you're getting the
conversation?
camera ready.
I'm camming up. I'm camming up tonight. It's Friday night. I'm camming up tonight.
Let's go. You got to do it, man. Let's go.
Look at this, CP.
You got to redeem yourself. Got to redeem yourself, man.
He's got to redeem himself.
They say they said we 0 for 27 in watch parties, so we gotta see we gotta know what you're thinking about tonight, man. But listen, I think it's so strange because the logic, right? The common sense, the approach that the unpanic approach is to say, give it time. It's ridiculous. It hasn't even been the playoffs, right? Like you can say that. And yeah, we only got a few months left, a month and a half or whatever. And then we're going to find out in the playoffs. But I'm telling you, if it doesn't work out this year, don't be surprised. This front office might turn and they might surprise you this offseason, because I think if it looks bad in the playoffs, I think Leon Rose is going to pivot. And I think now you begin to think of, some interesting names that maybe in the past you would think, they're not going to bring that player here. Kevin Durant's not going to be an option. So such and such is not going to be an option. You're trying to win a championship.
You think they would bring Kevin Durant here, man? That'd be honestly with very
I
honestly.
think
I'm not gonna talk down his talent. His injury prone history though is crazy.
It doesn't matter. Nothing is off the table if this team gets smoked in the second round. Nothing can't be off the table. What do? You don't have picks. How are you going to get better? What do you do? The CBA is cooking us. We couldn't, CP was tweeting today, we couldn't even get Torrey Craig, and he's out there playing well already in some minutes against the Celtics. What are you going to do? You're limited. So you have to open your mind. So that whole thing of, I don't like this player, we all got to readjust the way that we looking at this, just the same way front offices are rewiring the way that they are evaluating how to construct the team, because the CBA has a lot to say about this.
These are facts, man. And it's tough.
That's why you saw the trades that you saw in the deadline.
Yeah, man. Nah, you're right. Look, and it's tough to even rewire your brain to think that way, because it's year one of like the CBA, and so used to be like, you can just go over the salary cap. No one cares about paying. It's a luxury tax. There's no implications about that. That's what the Warriors did to have their dynasty for what they did for so long, right? They just pay. They're like, forget it. Family show it. We're going to just pay the tax. We're going to have this team together for 3-4 years. No worries. And now with the cap, that's the way it is.
And Alex, man. The funny thing is, it might be time to get one of these old heads, because you actually might get them for cheaper. Then if you go, you might not be. You think we're in a ballpark for Giannis right now?
No, I don't. That's what
we gave up the picks. How we go? You think you think the Milwaukee Bucks, after what they just saw, what happened, the criticism and the death threats that their own GM, the Mavs GM got, you think the Milwaukee Bucks is going to play the whole Luka and Lakers game? You think they're just going to call the Knicks on the down low and say, yo, give us
Cat for Giannis straight up, the salaries match?
Forget no Cat. No, we're gonna help you in the NBA. Give us Mikal and a pick, or give us OG and a pick. Let's make the money work. Just give us one of these second round picks. We'll take OG. We'll sell the fan base on a all defensive player. You think that's gonna happen? Come on, man. So that's what I'm saying. So you have to open and expand, and this might even have to expand into even welcoming a clutch client. Like, yo, bro, from the moment you traded Dante DiVincenzo, in my opinion, that showed me that nobody's safe. Nobody is safe, because, and the whole Mikal thing to me, because I know there's no way Walt Perrin did not see Mikal Bridges play defense last year. Because I was telling people, yo, if y'all saw him with the Nets, Mikal's not the same guy that he was in Phoenix. Okay, maybe it was a bad team. They banked on the whole thing with Dante DiVincenzo. Dante came here, had a career year, right? The whole guarding thing, the friendships. So that's why I don't blame Leon, because I understand why he did it. He thought the same thing. Yo, we got Dante to come here, the whole Villanova connection. We're going to get the best out of Mikal. He's going to have a career season. He's coming here the second part of Villanova connection. How can you not understand why they did it? It makes sense.
No, it makes sense. Absolutely makes sense.
Oh, he played bad defense last year. He's going to play great this year. Why?
Yeah,
he's a New York Knick.
No, or even better yet, he was on the Nets. What's there to be inspired about? It's a losing team. Why even try? You're on a winning team now. Now you got to try. And hey, he has to try. And it's been an up and down season for Mikal Bridges, man. I'm sure he wants to go back to December. Hey, but let's get to more calls, man. We got more calls that we got to get to. Let's get to Pops the Legend. Pops the Legend. Shout out to your super chat, man. The $5 super chat saying, I kept clicking on the mic and it didn't turn on, but now you got the second chance, Pops. What's going on?
Is the mic working this time?
Yes, sir, man. You're coming in crystal clear. What's happening?
Perfect, man. I was in the middle of doing my brakes and rotors on my Jeep, and I literally shift gears to build my flux capacitor so I can go back in time and press the undo button and give me back the heart and soul, the 3-point defense, the desire, the heart, and the wanting of the team of last year. I'll start from there because this team right here is softer than my goose pillows.
Oof. Hey, man. This team does not show heart on a consistent night-to-night basis. You are not incorrect about that. But what else did you take away from this game, Pops? Anything more outside of just like the lack of heart, the grittiness that's missing from this team?
Yeah, the same thing that I told you yesterday. I don't know what it is, but I say let's go back to the Mike D'Antoni days and let's give up layups and at least defend the 3-point line, because I can't believe that these guys are just coming in and just shooting threes like if it's open season on the Knicks. And until they fix that in this league on this time, there's going to be an issue because everybody's chucking threes and making it like eyes closed. Donovan Mitchell came and just said, oh, you guys are not going to defend me? Three at the buzzer, 3 at halftime. I mean, it's pathetic. And as much as I want to defend Thibs, this becomes a coaching issue because I would not let practice go by until you guys learn how to play defense out of the 3-point line. That's my starting point.
There you go. Appreciate the call, Pops. Appreciate the call as always. 3-point defense, lackluster yet again. No surprise, man. No surprise that we cannot guard the 3 to save our lives. And hey, let's use that as a segue to get into our sponsor of the night, Underdog Fantasy, and they're bringing to us tonight the key stats, man. Key stats of the game. So let's look at these key stats and let's break it down. So, as we all talked about, the New York Knicks lost this one. All right, they lost this one 142 to 105. The Knicks could just not do anything. Nice jersey, CP. Appreciate the nice jersey. But we're going through the key stats, my man. Stay focused. Stay locked in. Welcome.
Your show, man. Good.
Appreciate it. So as I'm getting back into the groove of things, Knicks lost the rebounding battle 47 to 32. They also lost the assist battle 38 to 25. Lost the steal battle 12 to 8. Lost the turnover battle 16 to 15. Team lost a shooting battle. Cavs shot 61% from the field while the Knicks shot 47. Cavs shot 51% from downtown while the Knicks shot 36. Cavs shot 73% from the free throw line. Knicks yet again failing from the free throw line, 61%. And then when you look at all the other categories, oh my goodness gracious. I talk about fast break points. I talk about points in the paint. I talk about second chance opportunities. The Knicks just got dominated in all 3 categories. 23-6 in fast break points. Cavs won that battle. 13-6 in second chance points. The Cavs won that battle. 66-38 when it comes to the points in the paint. Talked about this. I talked about the fast break points. I talked about the points in the paint with my guy Evan Damero, who covers the Cleveland Cavaliers for Right Down Euclid. Said this was going to be a key point. Knicks lost all these key areas of tonight's matchup. Just ugly all the way through. Man. JD, CP, your thoughts on the key stats for tonight?
Man, well, I mean, you look across the stat board. I'm coming in clear, right? Check 1, check 2.
You're coming in crystal clear, my guy.
Yeah, I mean, you look across the stat sheet, they got outclassed again by the better team. And against the number 1 offense in the league, you want to try to control possessions. Well, they got smoked on the boards by 15. So there goes that. Against a great team, the best team in the East, you want to slow down your mistakes. You want to slow down your turnovers. Well, 17 turnovers led to 22 Cavs points. And it wasn't just, some turnovers are quality and some turnovers are just the dumbest things you've ever seen. For example, I don't need to see Karl Anthony Towns making an entry pass to, was it Precious Achiuwa, somebody who's, being face guarded by Max Strus. Like those type of things are just like beyond ridiculous. Some of the plays that they were making out here on the road. You're on the road, hostile territory against the best team in the East, especially in the first half when the game was over in the first half anyway. The turnovers were just ridiculous. The boards. And then from 3, they got smoked again from 3. They gave up damn near 60 points from 3. Cavs shot 51% from downtown. And the Knicks could only muster up 30 points from 3, shooting 35% from downtown. So when you look at those type of stats, you have no shot at this. And that was what the score indicated. 142 to 105. A clear landslide. They're just not in the class of these teams right now. They're nowhere near these teams right now when they're at their best. And look, you know what? I think Cleveland's going to win it all, man. I think they're going to win the whole thing.
You're bugging.
Yeah, I do. I think they're going to win the whole thing. But go ahead. Get to the stats. Get to the stats. I'll get back to that. But get to the stats. I think they're going to win.
All right, JD, what are your thoughts about the stats from tonight?
I'm just going to get, CP touched on multiple of those numbers. So he told the story right there. And for me, it's a continued issue. They shot, what was it from 3? 60
to 30.
50, was it 51%? Am I seeing this right?
51% from downtown.
51%, 60 to 61% overall. So 51%. The Knicks are now last in the NBA, giving up a 38% from 3. Last in the NBA. That's the story right there. They're last in the NBA, and they're creeping up in terms of attempts. Teams are now starting to hoist up a few more attempts because the story before was, well, they don't give as much. I don't care if they give up 23s a game. Teams are hitting about 10. So the Knicks continue to just not defend the 3 ball, and it's just not going to be enough long term. And this stat always gets exposed the most versus the best teams. Versus the best teams, it's like on fire. We're not talking about a solid night, a decent night. It's like literally NBA 2K, NBA Jam level. Like it is on fire. Game's over in the first quarter. Like it's unbelievable. And that's something that they're gonna have to figure something out. I think at this point, you're not gonna see anything until this team is completely healthy, because that's just what it is. Trade deadline's gone. You can't do anything else but just pray that everyone can get back. And when they get back, then let's see what any adjustments they can make schematically and go from there. That's the only thing you have left for this team defensively.
And that is the key stats, brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Everybody, make sure to use that promo code KFTV to get up to $1,000 in instant bonus cash and a free pick. And look, Underdog Fantasy, love using that app. Games like tonight where you see a team can just go off, this is where you choose higher for Donovan Mitchell, man. So all you got to do, just choose 2 to 8 players. You can mix and match between any sports when you're creating your ticket. And all you got to do is just choose higher or lower on any statistical category. So like tonight, if you see Donovan Mitchell for 26.5, just choose higher, and then you can win. And the more you get right, the higher your earnings are. And the cool thing is they give you the insurance route. So if you choose up to 8 picks, if you get I think it's 6, 7, or 8 right, you'll still get some cash in return. And then the other part of it is the fantasy draft. So you get to put on your GM hat, see if you can defeat your friends. We haven't done that a little bit, guys. We got to put some beer money down and see if who's got the better GM, caliber brain. I don't know. But hey, make sure to support our sponsor, Underdog Fantasy. Use that promo code KFTV to get up to $1,000 in instant bonus cash and a free pick. CP, welcome, man. Welcome to the show. How was the watch party?
Oh, it was good, man. So
we were praying for you. JD and I, before we came on the show, we put up a little prayer circle. We said we hope the best for CP in these times, because right now the record is not looking great. So how was it though?
He's getting home. He's getting home on time.
Yes.
He's getting home on time. Like, he's not late to these games recently.
Yeah, very much on time. No, it's good, man. But like I say, with everything that we do, it's always bigger than wins and losses. Whether it's this show that we're doing in post game, whether it's the game of the week preview, whatever we're doing, it's much bigger than the game. And I hear it when I go to the watch party and I talk to the people. The people who talk about you guys, they appreciate you guys. They appreciate the show. People who are coming out for the first time. Like, we met people who just found us on Instagram, oh, man, I love your show. This is my first watch party. I'm coming to the next one. So, like, people don't care about wins and losses. They come for the community aspect, to give us our props, to give us our flowers, and to thank us for what we put on. So the watch party is a win for the entire group of KFTV, because of what we do and the hard work that we put in. And so that's why I go out there. Yeah, I didn't think they were going to win this game. You know what I'm saying? Obviously, they were going to be up against all odds, but I go out there to represent for the brand, shake hands, vibe with the people. And that's what tonight was. Unfortunately, we didn't get the result we wanted. But, to start the game off, I talked about it. I thought, against a team when you're up against all odds, second night of a back-to-back, you got to be crisp. The captain set the tone. Picked up 3 quick fouls. Tough. That's going to set us back. I did not like the Precious situation. I don't like the Precious starting at all. I wanted to see this game be a deuce game. And I was very disappointed that he didn't start. And then also off the bench, he was just a non-factor, relative non-factor. But against a team like this with the Cavaliers, you got to be able to match that offensive firepower. And they right away, their game plan was have Jared Allen roaming around in the paint to shadow Karl-Anthony Towns, shadow Jalen Brunson, and we don't care what Precious Achiuwa is doing. He can be standing in the corner doing whatever he does. And the Knicks time and time again would go to him for some reason, and he's been taking the shots. I mean, this was a we don't need that marathon featuring Precious Achiuwa. Like, I'm sorry, man. Like, yo, Precious, we love you, dog. Like, listen, he's in the game. You open, you got to shoot it. But this was just a bad game plan by Tibbs and bad execution by the team. They continue to have difficulty running the offense through Karl-Anthony Towns. I don't need Karl-Anthony Towns, coming up across the half court and dumping it down to lesser players. You're the guy. You're the guy with the max contract. You're the guy that we need to set the tone. The captain is on the bench. We can't count on Mikal Bridges. You have to be the guy to go out there and dominate. Every time he got the ball in the post, whether it's Max Strus on him, Evan Mobley on him, he had good things. He had some turnaround jump hooks. He had some turnaround jumpers. Like, dominate, man. It's the same thing over and over again. You let these lesser teams or lesser defenders go out there and completely eliminate you. Yeah, 21 points in the first half, but it was a non-factor. Well, number one, because he's given up 40 on the other side. That's a big problem. But it's like, damn, like, we know that already. You know what I mean? But even on the offensive side, I'm like, man, like, go to the guy. You see too many possessions where it's like Payne to Bridges to OG to Precious, shot. And Karl-Anthony Towns is sitting right there. Frustrating. The defense can't stop anything. They just can't. So you're compounding the issue when you can't match the firepower in the offensive end. You're turning the ball over. And then defensively, it's just once they break down at the point of attack, away you go. Every point that the Cavs scored damn near in the first quarter was just like easy, easy, easy money. No fight, no anything, bro. The defensive identity of this team is lost. We'll see what happens when the blockness comes back. We need him badly right now. Josh Hart, even, he was missed tonight on the boards. Big time. They got smoked on the boards by 15. Couldn't get an offensive rebound for anything. Couldn't get any second chance opportunities. That's usually where Josh Hart can help out. Transition is where he can help out. It just wasn't there, man. Another night where you want to see Mikal Bridges take over, especially when the captain is out with 3 fouls. Quiet. You can't play supporting cast, bro. You got to go out there and force the issue. We don't have enough guys out there to force the issue. OG came back. Third quarter, falls down, grabs his foot. I said, "Oh my God, he's hurt again." Did y'all see that?
Yeah, dude. I
said, "Oh my God,
held.
we lost again."
I held my breath because it reminded me of last season where he came back from that bone spurt, whatever that thing was, and then he was gone again. I was like, if this is the way this season's unfolding.
Did you hear him?
Yes.
You hear when he screamed, he's like, "Ah!" I said, "Oh my God, we lost him again, bro."
And he does it to himself. He's not a fluidly coordinated player. He does it to himself. I was telling the caller that was trying to say that that's on, like, it's not on that part is not on Tibbs. The guy, you saying that, you know, if he was on the Celtics or he's on another team, like, part of the system is why he can't finish around the rim. I said, no, that's skill. He doesn't have a bag around the rim. He doesn't have a layup package. He is not coordinated when he goes. He can go up against a 6'1" guy. He could be on a fast break. That's nothing to do with this system. He doesn't have he's just not coordinated to have a plan when he's one-on-one.
Yeah.
He has to, like, you know, get that post up where he gets right on the basket. He gets the ball. He goes up to dunk. That's the only time he's sure of himself going up to the rim is when he has a clear dunk. But going to the rim in terms of trying to finish around a big man, he doesn't know how to. He can't finish.
Be Kawhi Leonard.
That's it.
You know what I'm saying? Like, if he
had
a better offensive bag, he'd be Kawhi Leonard. But it's like, bro, he's grabbing his foot. I said, oh, man, insult to injury. Literally, we'll see if he even makes it Sunday. We'll see what happens Sunday. So it's just hard, man. It's just so many issues. I did like how Huckporty played. He gave us some good energy. I like how they gave Dadier a good run in the fourth.
I mean, if Tibbs put out the starting rotation that fourth quarter,
yeah,
it would have been. I would have.
I'm shocked he put them that much into the third. I would have embarrassed those guys. From that first time out he called, I would have never brought him back. Y'all want to come out like this? They flat out. You know what?
They quit. They
quit in that third quarter.
They 100% did.
But you know the possession they quit? They quit on the possession where Darius Garland had a clear layup and he missed the first layup. And then the second time Darius Garland got the same layup, he made it. That 2-possession sequence right there, they quit. Because it was the same thing. Nobody was near the rim. The first one, he missed the layup and he was upset. The second one, he made it.
And you know what bothers me
right there?
And what bothers me
right there?
And what bothers me about that is that you still see Brunson out there trying, right? Your captain is out there trying to, like, galvanize his team, and then everybody else is more than comfortable saying, not tonight.
Yeah.
That to me is alarming, because if your best player, if your guy still thinks that you have a chance to go out there and make some noise and make a comeback, and you're saying, nah, man, I'm not feeling it tonight, that's alarming to me.
You know what's alarming? You know what's alarming? Mikal Bridges in 6 games versus the top 3 teams, OKC, in 6 games, including tonight now. In 6 games against OKC, the Celtics, and the Cavaliers. You talking about what you need in a potential playoff series? You talk about the ingredient that you may need to propel you to compete against these teams. I mean, the conversation has lowered now. Now we're talking about, can we even, like, open the door and sit at the dinner table with them? Forget eating the food. Forget talking about what's on the menu. Can we even sit on the same table with y'all? Like, we're talking about, that's the conversation. When we made this move, we were talking about being the best 5 in the NBA, being, you know, a potential championship caliber team. Now we're talking about, can we even sit at the table and talk about what we're going to eat tonight? 14 points, shooting 27% from 3, 44% overall, and terrible defense.
And you know,
14 points.
Here's my X factor.
He was my X factor in my game of the week.
6 3 attempts, a healthy number. 6 3-point attempts versus those 3 teams in 6 games, shooting 27% from the field. Come on, bro.
I had him as my X factor for this reason. I said in the last 5 games prior to them playing even the Bulls, I was like, yo, this guy's shooting like 13, 14 points, 45% from the field, under 30% from downtown. And we know we're not going to get a lot of assists or rebounds from this guy, especially since he's got to be out on the perimeter. But I'm like, he's going to have the crazy assignment of having to either guard Garland or Donovan Mitchell tonight. Maybe both, depending on who's feeling it. And then on top of that, if you're not going to have Josh Hart, OG's coming back from injury, you're going to just need another guy who can give it offensively.
Man. Frustrating. Super frustrating.
And then you look on the other side. What's even more frustrating is you look on the other side of this matchup, and then not only do you have Mitchell getting 27, you get Mobley getting 21. Off the bench, you're getting DeAndre Hunter with 16. You're getting Ty Jerome with 19.
Nick Killer.
Like, DP, what you wanted to say about the whole Mikal conversation that you were like?
Yes. Yeah, let me get to that. First off, we got to shout out to Rhyme Animal Chuck D. I don't know if you got to this, Al. $100.
Oh, yeah, we got to. Oh, yeah, we got to it.
Oh, you did?
Yep.
You read Chuck's super chat?
Yep.
Okay. All right. So I'm late. All right. So shout out to the Rhyme Animal Chuck D. Also, yeah, I did say I think this team can win it all. I think they definitely can easily win it all. They don't have a weakness. They are incredibly deep right now. DeAndre Hunter off the bench is crazy. Ty Jerome, they got 3-point shooting. I mean, look at their numbers offensively. They are a juggernaut. They're number 1 in the NBA 3-point accuracy, number 1 in the mid range, number 3 in the corner 3, number 1 in the short mid, number 10 at the rim, number 1 in effective field goal percentage. Evan Mobley said, "I want to be the best player in the NBA." His confidence is catching up to his game. That's a problem for the league. Jared Allen has always been steady. Ty Jerome, Strus, they throw so many guys at you. They're a problem, man. They're going to be a problem for the C's, and I don't worry about OKC. OKC still has a lot of proving to do. They tied their season series 1-1. OKC's a very good team, a dominant team. No, but I think the Cavs can. I think the Cavs can win the whole thing, and I think they might. I really do.
I don't think they're beating the Celtics.
I think they can beat Boston, bro. 7.
No, I gotta see it to believe it.
And you still got Spider, and you still got Garland, bro. They have everything to put pressure on you. Ty Jerome off the bench.
I agree with all that, but a matchup against the Celtics, I don't see it.
I don't honestly. I think that team against OKC, I see OKC still doing it, man.
See,
OKC got stuff to prove. OKC got stuff to prove.
They both do. The Cavs and the Thunder both have stuff to prove. I just think this is such a deep team, and Kenny Atkinson is probably the difference.
To me,
it's over the top.
To me, in the end, when I looked at because I watched all 3 games in full versus the Celtics, they struggle to get great shots because the Ty Jeromes, Max Strus are both 6'5", Donovan Mitchell and Garland are both 6'1". Your main perimeter guys, you don't have a guy over 6'5". And your 2 main guys who in the playoffs are going to play the 38, 39, 40 minutes are 6'1". And when you have the Drew Holidays who's 6'5", Derek White who's 6'5", you have Jason Tatum who's 6'9", and Jaylen Brown are 6'6". I just think what you've seen so far in their matchups, I don't know how that changes in the playoffs in terms of and then you got Porzingis at the rim. I just think the Celtics have too much length, wingspan, height, and a little physical, and they have the experience, which, the guys we're mentioning, the Ty Jeromes and the Sam Merrills, who knows if these guys are even going to get minutes versus a Celtics. They'll get minutes in the first 2 rounds, but versus the Celtics, we'll see.
Don't forget DeAndre Hunter, bro. 6'8".
That's the guy.
Scores over every Knick from the mid range, from 3. I think
can I ask you this? And this might make us look bad.
Yeah.
Is Mikal Bridges even better than DeAndre Hunter?
Yo. He's
coming off the bench.
He's certainly not looking that way. He's certainly not looking that way.
Oh my God. When you think about it that way, my God.
Well, CP, I got to ask you the other question that shout out to our first time caller, Ty, had.
Sure.
He wants to know, or he asked, did Leon make the move too early to make this roster? Should we have given it another year or so with last year's team?
Absolutely not.
Thank you.
Julius is not taking you anywhere. All right.
Thank you.
I mean, do I gotta say this again? We're in 8 years of KnicksFanTV. How many times I gotta tell you? Julius was never getting the job. I was hoping, like, my thoughts on Julius was more wishful thinking. That's why, like, when I made that reel about not wanting to trade for Towns, and everybody's like, "Oh man, you wanted to keep Julius." I just wanted to see the Julius story, redemption story. But did I have confidence that he was leading the Knicks anywhere? Absolutely not. It was time to get rid of him. And Towns was the best thing they could have gotten. Nobody wanted Julius, man. Nobody wanted Julius. They found the right team to trade with because, number one, Minnesota didn't want that cap hit. Look at the cost of ownership. The Celtics are up for sale. Luka Doncic just got traded by the Adelsons. They're not with paying all that luxury tax. Certain teams are not with that. And the Minnesota Timberwolves are showing you that in the midst of their ownership flux, that they are not trying to do that. So they're not going to be paying Julius either. So they found the right buyer in the Minnesota Timberwolves who didn't want to take on that luxury tax hit with Towns and also didn't believe in him either. Let's be real. That's why I said it was a question mark for a question mark. But it was the best the Knicks could do. So you make that trade, right? Now, a lot of people are saying, oh, man, with the Mikal Bridges, we gave up the 5 picks, Giannis is going to be available. This guy's going to be available. Well, guess what? The Knicks are not the only team in the NBA with draft picks. And guess what again? The Knicks are not the only team in the NBA. They don't have the best offer to give. I can name 5 teams off the top of my head right now that could give better combination of young players and draft picks that could beat the Knicks for Giannis, for Devin Booker, you name it. You name it. The Bridges deal was almost like the Doncic deal in that nobody even knew that they were even talking. They had to pay the tax. They paid the tax. But when Giannis becomes available, you want to tell me that Houston can't come up with a better offer? OKC, if they want him, can come up with a better offer. Hey, maybe Orlando, who knows? They can come up with a better offer. There's so many teams out there that can come up with a better offer of young players that you can build around and draft picks that can beat the Knicks' offer. The Knicks are in a precarious situation in terms of trying to build a championship contender. Everybody who has won in the past, the most conventional way is through building through the draft. Celtics, Golden State, where Cleveland is right now. Remember, Darius Garland was number 4. Evan Mobley was number 4. They used all the assets around them to get Spider. You have to have that foundation. Celtics had Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum. The Knicks are in a tough spot because they didn't have that. They had to use their lottery picks to get role players. They got lucky to have Brunson land in their lap and be an all-star superstar. That was a lot of luck. So they're in a tough spot. So, I don't necessarily think the Bridges thing was necessarily a bad thing because, number one, you can't wait around for the next guy. You don't know who that next guy is going to be, and you can't expect that you're going to land the next guy because you're going to have a ton of competition. It's not easy. It's not easy to just say, oh, well, we could have had Giannis. There's mad teams that could beat the Knicks out for Giannis right now if they would have kept the picks. What do you guys think? That's just what I think.
The one thing I'll say though is you still saw Jimmy land in a place that he was okay with because in the end the star players have some power. So you could have a lot of teams that are in the mix, but if a player has a say, some teams will get eliminated from that hunt. You want to be able to be at least in the conversation, in the hunt. And I think the Knicks, the Knicks have become a desired destination. So I don't think, like I said, when you look at the logic of the Mikal trade, I think you have to understand what they thought. As I said before you were here, CP, they looked at the DiVincenzo experience. That experiment, it worked out wonders. They got a career year out of him. Look how he looks without them. And it makes sense. The power, friendship, the Villanova connection, the environment here. Mikal's going to come here. He's going to have a career year. He's going to revert back to Phoenix Suns Mikal defensively. The logic made sense. The environment, everything was there for Mikal. Everything is here. It just hasn't panned out, I think, to the level that we expected it so far. But listen, the other beauty of the CBA, in my opinion, is although the Knicks are limited with draft picks, it doesn't mean that they still can't make another move in the offseason if they want to pivot.
They make another move.
You just, like I said, you just might have to rewire yourself and try to get one of these old heads that are one of these old head greats, because they're definitely for sale, as you saw with this trade deadline, and as you know that it's going to happen in this offseason. So you can repivot, because a lot of these owners don't want to pay tax money. And so if you look at this trade deadline, a lot of these guys are not going for what you think they're going to go. The Mikal trade with the 5 picks may have been the last time you've seen something like that, the way, some of these things are playing out with the CBA.
Bro, it was a tax. You were never going to get him for less. It was a tax you were going to have to pay to get him from the Nets. But like I said, number one, you don't know who's going to become available at what time. You can't wait around because of the way the CBA is, because you're still paying players. You're paying Brunson, you're paying OG, you're bringing in Karl Anthony Towns, who makes $60 million a year. You got to make the move. We knew that this past offseason was a time to make the move. He's disappointing. He's lackluster right now. I'm not trying to tell you that he's been great for the Knicks. He hasn't. Well, what I'm trying to say is that the idea that they could have just waited around and got somebody else, there's no guarantees. You're in a competition with 29 other teams in the league. Jimmy Butler, a 35-year-old Jimmy Butler, a locker room, I don't want to use that C word. Everybody wasn't beating down a Heat door to go get Jimmy Butler. And the Sun, it was the best thing for Golden State. I was the one on Twitter saying that's a great deal for Golden State, because once the Suns thing fell out, Golden State was able to get him at their price.
Lost one game since they got him.
And they lost one game, and they're looking good.
They're looking good with him.
It's a great deal. They didn't have to give up their young players. They gave up Wiggins, who's here today, gone tomorrow. It's a great deal for Golden State. They waited and waited and waited to the right time, and they got their guy.
Nah, I agree with you for the Randall trade, just because what the situation that you had with Cat and Julius is no team really was out there saying I was going to go take Cat based on the contract, and then you had a Randall situation where no one's out there saying how does this guy fit on my roster. So it was at the perfect time, so you had to go make that deal. The Bridges thing, I don't know, man. At the time, it's oh, this looks good because of everything that JD talked about. But I get the concept of getting a wing, but I don't know, having the draft picks back, and I know that it's not like they're going to be the greatest draft picks ever, but it's just maybe there's something else that we could have done. Maybe. I don't know.
CP, are you of the mindset? CP, are you of the mindset that I was talking about the Suns and some of these other teams? You see the Bucks now, where you see from the outside in. We saw last year the outlook and what the outcome was going to be in the Suns this year, and you see it play out. We saw last year the outcome of the Bucks, and you see the way it's playing out. Are you of the mindset that if this team goes into the playoffs and they go into the second round against the Celtics and they lose in 5, that this team is a team that you go into the offseason in the front office and you sell the fan base on chemistry? You sell the fan base on they just need another year. This nucleus is the right nucleus. Mikal and OG, give them an offseason. Give them a full training camp. This team needs another year to gel. Or are you of the mindset that if that's what transpires in the playoffs, you need to make a move with one of these big pieces, and you need to make some sort of a tweak, which would be considered, I guess, a seismic shift, just because any of these players in the starting 5, especially with their connection to this front office, Josh Hart, Mikal Bridges, OG CAA, I think any of these guys gets moved, it would be considered a big move. Do you think the Knicks would need to kind of change their philosophy thinking on that if they don't perform in the playoffs?
No, I give it another year. I give it another year. Another offseason. Another offseason. You need another cycle. Where the Suns, you got to understand, where the Suns went wrong, the Beal thing was a desperate Hail Mary that they were able to use the CP3 contract to get a talented player that has no fit with that team. An injury-prone player, along with Kevin Durant, who's become more injury-prone. So, you compounded your issues. Nurkic sucks. There was just no fits on that piece, on that chessboard. The Knicks have pieces that fit together, especially on the offensive side of things. They're a top-heavy team. Now you need to see, okay, the salary cap is going to go up. What can they use that exception on? Can they get a quality vet for the bench? Hey,
keep it real, CP. Come on.
I am. I'm keeping it very real.
CP, they could improve the bench. This team, this same starter five comes back next year, and they're not going to be considered the favorite over whoever the Celtics are next year, whoever the Cavaliers are next year. So if they're not even going to be considered in their level, that's already like, then what are we doing?
Correct. But what you're doing is, if even if you're considering making another trade, you're still depleting the same depth that you need to make a championship run. This is what I'm saying. Like, you can't just be willy-nilly, just be, all right, we got to do this again, tweak again. You got to see what you can build into with chemistry. Kemba Dadier. Hey, all you guys in the chat, play the young guys, play the young guys. Hey, Kemba Dadier, take another step. His sophomore year is going to be critical for this team. Is Kolek going to be ready? You got Huck Porty. You guys like Huck Porty, right? Play the young guys, right? Play the bench. Okay, well, these are a young team. You still have a very young core with Brunson, with McCall, with Towns, with OG. You see what happens when the salary cap goes up. Can you get a quality vet to add to your bench? And you see how they go again. Is Mitch going to be back again?
Yeah,
right? You guys don't want to lean on him, but I'm saying that's it. But like, you're not going to be able to just trade Mikal Bridges 1-for-1 for KD, right? Salary's got to work. That's all I'm saying. So you're going to have to, again, aggregate to get something better in here. How are you going to get Giannis? That's all I'm saying. So you're still going to have the same issues.
Might have to give up Cat for that one.
You're still going to have the same, you're still going to come across the same issues, even if you're trying to get another one of these guys. To me, you're better off. You have a young roster. Yes, there are injury concerns. Sign a player. You sign a couple more vets. You hope that Dadier's sophomore year can be something fruitful for you. And go from there. Maybe Mitch comes back healthy. You go from there. Hey, they might even lose Precious.
So then what you're saying then, if you're going to keep this roster, is that, because we all know what happens if you keep the same roster. Tom Thibodeau has only one more year then.
One more year? I was going to ask him, is Tom Thibodeau back?
I think he's back.
Yes.
I think he's back.
He's back.
I think
he gets one more. He gets one more year. I said this.
He gets one more year to get smoked by 30+ points against the elite teams.
Sure. That's Leon's guy. He's not going to bail on him just like that. He's going to give him a chance.
Do you think it's the right? Do you think it's the right move? Would be the right move?
Yeah, you give him another chance, bro.
You think Thibodeau? Okay, he's earned it. But let's talk facts.
Who's a better?
Do you believe?
Let's talk the facts. Who's the better option?
Hold on.
Don't just name me young guy. Everybody wants to crown Johnny Bryant as his next coming of Red Auerbach.
Well, the thing is, I think you're right, but I think we are in an era. We're not in the era of the Don Nelsons and the Phil Jackson. Remember that era where only veteran coaches were getting opportunities. We're not in that era. We're in all professional sports. Just look at the NFL. Like in all professional sports, we're not in that era where a head coach is on the hot seat and you're going to say, well, who's a better option? Well, this era of sports today, everybody's going for either a hot candidate, a associate head coach that's a hot candidate, or someone that behind the scenes, or a former player. I mean, Jason, like the Mavericks are 5-1 the last 6 games without AD and all that stuff. Jason Kidd's proven to be a good coach right now.
Listen,
so I'm just saying that I'm not going to give you a veteran name that you're going to be like, well, he doesn't have a better resume. There's not many of these guys in the league anymore. And if anything, a lot of these veteran guys in the league doesn't even want to hire.
Right.
So, and who would have thought that Kenny Atkinson was going to do this? But guess what? He went to the Warriors. And he became a hot candidate. He came from the Nets, where he was known for development.
Kenny Atkinson, he's had a brilliant reputation around the league.
Exactly. But he hasn't had this.
Yeah,
what he's doing in Cavaliers.
At least Kenny Atkinson isn't Johnny Bryant. Like Kenny Atkinson paid his dues. He was here with the Knicks under D'Antoni. He was with the Nets. He went to the Warriors under Steve Kerr. He's been around.
Right.
He just never got the opportunity.
Okay, so we've had a lot. I'm just saying we've had a lot of former players that are getting great reputations. You hear a lot of great things about Sam Cassell. You hear a lot of great things about Jerry Stackhouse. You hear it. I mean, what about Johnny Bryant himself? He left because he probably saw you guys are not going to hire me. Why don't you rehire him? How is Johnny Bryant's effect on Donovan Mitchell proving out to be for that team and their young players when Johnny Bryant here was getting credit for a lot of the young players, and Julius Randle was the only guy he listened to was Johnny Bryant. I'm not saying that he's the answer. I'm saying that whenever the Knicks make this move, they're going to take a chance on a young guy, in my opinion.
Player development and system are two different things. They're two different things. That's what I'm saying. I'm not averse to bringing in a guy. I'm not averse to bringing in Johnny Bryant. But, like, I just feel like the fan base is just so high on the guy and had zero idea what his X's and O strategy is. What is his offensive philosophy? What is his defensive philosophy? We don't know. Can anybody call in? Hey, call in on the Discord. What is his philosophy that has made teams better? That's all I'm asking an honest question. I like the guy. I've met the guy several times. Very nice guy.
I tell you what, you said the Cavaliers could win it all. If they do, guess who's going to be a hot candidate this summer? Johnny Bryant. Because you know how it's a copycat league.
Bro, the Knicks made the playoffs 3 out of 4 years with him under Tibbs. He got one coaching offer to go back to Utah, the college.
Right.
That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. He went to the Cavs for the same position, and the Knicks let him walk. Not to say that they won't bring him back, but they let him walk. I'm just asking.
And that doesn't mean that them letting him walk has proven to be a good decision.
Sure, not at all.
You can make the argument that a Johnny Bryant right now is missed on that bench. They replaced Johnny Bryant with Mo Cheeks.
Yeah,
who's in the fifth row.
Yes. Yeah, he's in the fifth row. He is. But even importantly, you know who's missed? Who Knicks fans want to tell me, oh, man, you're hyping this guy up. He averaged 8 and 10. His name is Isaiah Hartenstein. That's who's missed on this team. His name is Mitchell Robinson, the Block Ness Monster. That's who's missed on this team. Everybody wanted to clown me, say, oh, you hyping up Hartenstein like he's this, he's that. Look at what he's doing with OKC, and look what's happened to the Knicks since he's bounced. It's not the same team, man. CBA crushed this team.
I would say you imagine Mitch comes back and he's the difference. I hope so.
I hope so, man.
It's slim that he can make that big of a difference, but that's the only thing we have left as a prayer.
Yeah.
I would say the only argument to not keeping Tibbs after the season is that he's constantly shown that he needs a roster built to him. And I don't think this roster's built to him.
How about that? That's a good point. So if it's not, then what does it matter about prerequisites of a coach? Get a young guy that's you know what I mean?
Because
I think they made the pivot, and they basically asked him in the offseason to readjust because the cat trade, and I guarantee you, Tibbs is the type of coach that it's not that he wants to win a championship, but he would have probably rather done it with his guys and just say, I don't care. However it plays out, it's play out. But I want to play my way. And I want Hartenstein here, and I want DiVincenzo here. And I know y'all hate Julius, but he's still tough and physical. And although we know that team has a ceiling, Tom Thibodeau just has a way of, the Reggie Bullocks and the Kirk Heinrichs and the Luol Dengs and the Keith Bogans and like Joakim Noahs, and he doesn't care that Joakim Noah doesn't have a jump shot. It's just is a system, just like you see it in sports. You stay true to your system, and you want personnel for that system. This roster is not. How can you explain this team being this bad defensively with a defensive guru like that? So if you don't want me to criticize the coach, then what is it?
Anthony Towns manning the middle, man. You got Jaylen
exactly. So then we can't maximize this coach here. So then what are we doing?
You're getting better players. You're getting the Block Ness Monster.
So now you're going to Alex's point. You get more players.
Yeah, I mean, name me the coach that's going to turn Towns into a beast at the 5 defensively. He's just not it, man. He's just not it. It's a big problem.
I think Mikel's a bigger problem, but that's just me.
He is. He's part of it.
You thought you were getting Jaden McDaniels there defensively, and you're getting Jalen McDaniels, the one that was on the Sixers.
Who would have thought that all we needed to do was just try to go out and get Dyson Daniels to fix everything? But yo, man, we got a lot more callers.
Yeah,
through here,
let's
man.
get the rhyme animal in here, man. Let's get the rhyme animal Chuck D in the building, man. Chuck, you
Hello?
there?
I'm here. Hello, I'm here. Yeah, I tell you, this better than ESPN. ESPN, no. It's killing me, man.
Talk us off the ledge. It's Chuck
Oh,
D.
man. No. Listen, man. My optimism as a fan deserves tomatoes. I put on my ragu suit because my optimism is a little bit forefront. I'll be quick at this rapid fire as much as I can. I mean, so happy we won last night. Last night's game killed me. We had to win last night. I didn't see us beating the Cavs tonight or Boston on Sunday. Sorry. We can't play the style that we need to play to beat those teams right now. It's just too much too soon. We don't have the artillery or the personnel. And I believe that it shapes up playoffs game one, and you'll see a transformation. Now, there's a lot of doubt that people say, I don't think it can happen with this team, but that other aspect of coaching is when your back is up against the wall, when you up against the edge, and it's another atmosphere entirely. And I don't think the atmosphere now could give it to these players. Matter of fact, I'm not sure that they get motivated in March. It's just how the league is right now. The superstar players don't get motivated until the playoffs. So I just think that we're just a little bit top heavy on expectations. It's the hype of New York. We got all stars. We got all the whoop whoop going for us now. We don't have the same type of gritty personnel that nobody gives a chance to. And listen, I wasn't a Tibbs hater, but I was a Tibbs doubter because, dude, you just can't play 7 people in the ground. But this was 4 years ago. I mean, Tibbs developed Randall into an all-star. He developed iHeart. When iHeart first came to the Knicks, man, he was this dude that 7 feet. He could pass the ball. Occasionally, he shoot the three with the Clippers. He developed him into somebody else that when Mitch went out, he turned into this super rim defender that we never saw. He also developed Dante into being a defensive player in his system because before that, people were calling Dante with Golden State Milwaukee. They were calling him a traffic cone. So, I mean, the Cavaliers, I don't believe that we have the type of team to beat the Cavaliers because we have no physicality. We have no connectivity on defense. And I think OG, and here's the tomato time. Throw the tomato. I think OG and Mikal Bridges are built for game one of the playoffs, and they not built for regular season. And this is where we've seen in the NBA that playing teams are dangerous because they rev up a momentum to go into the round two or round one or whatever coming out of the play-in, and then they become all of a sudden this dangerous team. And that's what Miami been betting on. And all of a sudden you got a team that you're looking at that's revved up. Now you got to play them 4 out of 7 games. And this is the thing about a 30-team league, different from back in the day with 20 teams or 18 teams or whatever. You don't really get a chance to establish a rivalry or a back-to-back with a team home to home, Philly versus New York, in a 3-game or 4-game set in the span of 2 months. So you got to play another team on a back-to-back and then come in and face another team. So it's just a matchup monstrosity that an expanded roster that can only kind of handle. Like, look at Kenny Atkinson. He is fresh brained. His brain is fresh. He's able to look at 12 to 13 to 14 players like Taylor Jenkins and be able, he has the time. Tibbs might be in a burnout to a point. It's like, okay, I'm not gonna deviate off of my style. And I got players. I'm gonna have to look at the playoffs differently. I could be wrong, man, but playoffs is a
When you
moment
look
to
at
moment.
these
Yeah,
players, these players,
go ahead.
man, especially on the Cavs, and shout out to our guy Cedro. He was out at All Star, went to a Cavs event, and he said those Cavs players, man. I mean, they couldn't stop talking about Kenny Atkinson and his impact on them. So a stark difference from JB Bickerstaff,
Bickerstaff,
who's
who's
also having
transformed the
success.
Pistons.
He's
He's
transformed the
transformed
Pistons.
the Pistons.
So
That's
there's
a team I
legacy.
fear.
Yeah,
Hey, listen,
yeah.
that's a team I fear because I believe, and here, throw the tomatoes, I believe we could body if we play the way we're supposed to play, I believe we could body Boston and the Cavaliers. I don't know if we could win against Boston, but we could body them. I don't think we can body the Pistons because if they go into a round where we got to face them, the only way we're going to beat them is to finesse them, and we're a finesse team. And I just think the finesse team turns different when it comes to being a playoff team. And like I said, game one of whatever, listen, one thing we know for sure, one guarantee we know for sure, we're a playoff team. And there will be a day, there will be a game one somewhere against somebody. After that game one, we'll have it all laid out on who we are. I guarantee you. And then even then, it becomes a game of adjustments. And I don't think we see that game of adjustments in the regular season. That's all I'm saying. So we could talk all day about OKC and the Cavaliers and Boston. Out of all that talk, there's only one ring so far that came out of all that talk. So we'll see if Boston wins again. And we got to see if OKC wins because, I sat with Sam Presti last year and I was joking with him because he was the butt of jokes for about 3 or 4 years. And he came and say, okay, this is how I seen it, So, you guys are the guru geniuses. I'm a fan in the seats looking from afar and looking at regular season. Listen, I'm looking at regular season increasingly in the NBA as becoming a whole different league than playoff time. And we've seen it in the All-Star. That All-Star game is irrelevant. The All-Star game is irrelevant. It sits in the middle of a regular season. They try to come up with a tournament, this Fugazi tournament in November. It's a fake fun or whatever. When all the chips turn different overnight, is game one of the playoffs. Nobody remembers March. Nobody remembers February, January. And even if you got home court advantage, there's a reason to be nervous and a reason to be scared, which we all will be game one of the playoffs, wherever that is and whoever we face. So that's all I got to say on that. So my optimism is I think OG and I think Bridges, if healthy, those are dogs, man. And I just think that, and look, right now, OG and Bridges are guarding 4 people. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Come the playoffs, Brunson's going to have to guard 3/4 of a person. Towns is going to have to guard 3/4 of a person. Towns is going to have the ball. That opposing person guarding him is going to get in foul trouble if the refs are right. And Towns, we can cause some fouls too, and that's the difference in the past. We would have no offense, therefore we could not get the opposition in foul trouble. We got 2 players that get the opposition in foul trouble, and we talk about Cleveland. Jared Allen has just as much of an injury quotient as Mitch Robinson. So I don't know what the Cavaliers would do without Jared. So it ain't no guarantees in the East. And I think with Boston, seriously, they're bored. And for 7 years, they were bored and tried to figure out what was the motivating factor. And Joe Mazzulla, right? He ain't far from the tree of Brad Stevens, just like Spoelstra wasn't far from Pat Riley's roots. So that's a system up there that will make a Pritchett look like or Hauser look like they fit in like paint, or White fitting in. Or what's his name? Or Luke Cornett. He's just a threat in that system because Mazzulla and also Brad Stevens is deep in that in order to keep Jaylen Brown and Tatum together, motivated and interested. I think the factor also with Boston is that J. Rue Holiday is a football player. But we a football team when we're at our best. And don't ever underestimate the motivating factor of Josh Hart. And Josh Hart, that's the motor that makes us turn from finesse and a possible defensive juggernaut. But I just don't think we could turn it on in the regular season. That's all I got to say. I had my ragu suit on. And hey, JD, Jaden McDaniels and Naj Reid didn't get a reputation to the playoffs. Regular season, nobody was talking about them. So the Knicks right about now, the problem is New York City, all this talk, the hype preceding them, and we had to, I had to see Paul Perk just get it tonight from Screaming A. And that, to me, more than anything else on the planet Earth,
Perk is you tonight, Chuck. Perk is you
that-
tonight.
yo, man, the embarrassment is ESPN, not everybody in the basketball world. Once they roll it out on ESPN, then I'm like, oh, now I got to hear him. Thank God for the CK. I'm done, man. But let's go, Knicks Nation, because we better than anything ESPN got. We better than anything any networks is covering on ball. That's what I'm saying. Yo, man, JD, Alex, CP, and also Knicks Nation, everybody out there from TM to JJ, the KG, the First Lady of Sports, Bob. Yo, y'all dialogue is what keeping me interested in basketball. I dumped the NFL years ago, man. Major League Baseball to price itself out of small markets, and the NBA is just making me nervous. Hockey is embarrassing them. So the only thing I'm holding on in sports is the New York football Knickerbockers. I'm out.
Let's go. Throw a hashtag PE in the chat. The rhyme animal Chuck D with a sermon tonight. Let's go, man.
You went in.
Keep the faith. He's optimistic.
Keep the faith. My man Mikkel is a dog.
Yo, you heard the passion. Chuck D coming through with the passion, man.
More like a Yorkie right now, but
this can all change on Sunday with a win in Boston. This can all change. Let's go to Jay Fade. Jay Fade on the Discord. Are you there? Jay Fade.
I'm here, man. How you doing?
Good, man. What's going on, man? Are you first time caller?
No, I've called before. I've been a subscriber. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So my whole thing is, I agree with a lot of the things Chuck said tonight, and I bet a lot of us have been drinking. But anyway, yeah, I started the game off. I was having a good time, and then it turned real quick.
Yeah,
but anyway,
happy hour turned sad. I hear you.
Yeah. Anyway, in your opinion, how many of these guys in the starting lineup are playing out of position right now? I mean, listen, Towns. The reason why they went out and got Gobert the year before is because they didn't think Towns was a defensive presence in the center position. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like Mitchell Robinson fills that role. I'm not saying he's going to come back and start in that role. But then is OG a power forward? And then it travels down to Jalen Brunson. And Jalen Brunson is right now is one of the few Knicks I feel like that's starting in his normal position, And if you really have our starting lineup, say it's, Robinson, totally healthy, center. You got Towns, power forward, totally healthy. And then it goes to OG. And then it goes to, on down the line. You can bring Josh Hart off the bench, and then the bench doesn't look so bad. And it goes, and then you get a chance for these bench players to also fill in behind Hart and feel some confidence. So I'm wondering what you guys think about that. And I know it's been asked a ton of times. I'm not saying that Robinson's going to start, but I'm talking about a healthy Mitch, like Gobert is right now for the Timberwolves, healthy.
Yeah, I think the problem is with Towns is that he's a center in body, but not a center.
But he's taking advantage of a lot.
He's not a center in defense, man. And the Cavs, the Celtics, the Thunder, like the way that they utilize their fives, they're just way more versatile and just better defensively. They just move better.
What about OG? Do you think he's a do you think he's a legitimate
OG,
power forward?
In this level of NBA, he can match up well at the 4. But at the 3 is probably more ideal for him. But he can certainly match up against certain teams.
Right. But if Towns is at the 4 and OG goes to the 3 and you got and then on down, you turn these guys into their natural positions. I just think that I'm not saying that everybody's playing out of position, but I just think that right now everybody's doing what they can to keep this team where they're at, and that's why we're beating these mediocre teams and some of these Western Conference teams. But in the East, it's a little harder.
Yeah, no, absolutely right, man, and definitely appreciate the call. They don't match up with these elite teams at all. This is why they get smoked constantly. They don't match up well. And you know what? Look, the Loch Ness Monster, they need him, but there's no guarantees that these two big lineups are going to have much success either, because Boston can play them off the floor, especially defensively. Like you're going to have Towns guarding Tatum. So
That's what I
the
said
hope
last
is,
night.
is that with these two big lineups is that you can impose your will by limiting the other team's second chance points, getting yourself additional second chance points, and like being way more physical. And that the hope is that on the other side that you don't get exposed. Doesn't mean it can't work when you go up against the smaller teams. It's just that you just got to make sure that when you get these guys out there, you impose your will and make them pay. So we'll see. No guarantees in this.
The concern with that lineup against the Celtics is that if you put Cat on Tatum, you still have Mitch on KP, who constantly draws Mitch outside of the paint. So then you're losing the effectiveness of Mitch. And then if you want to put Mitch on anybody else, you're still losing that whole effect because it can play 5 out. So it's like, it's not necessarily like the entire, that's not, it's just difficult, man. It's
the problem is the wing combo of OG and Mikal is not an advantage versus the Boston Celtics or the Cleveland Cavaliers. It's not. The reason is, I've said this, and I said it before this whole experiment even started. I said, has anybody thought when was the last time Mikal Bridges was a starting shooting guard in the NBA? Because last time I checked on the Phoenix Suns, he was a natural small forward. On the Nets, you had Cam Thomas, Spencer Dinwiddie. He was the 3. And you got Cam Johnson at the 3. He played the 3 and the 4 in Brooklyn. He's never played the 2. You're a little bit further away from the basket. You're not at the elbow. You're next to the point guard. And you have to be more of a shot creator at that position. And the problem is, OG against the Celtics becomes very much easily defendable because you have a Jaylen Brown or Jason Tatum, and he can't create a shot with his home ball handling skills. He can't finish at the rim. And then Mikal can't quite get all the way to the basket. Mikal always drifts his back. And if he doesn't have a mid-range shot right there, that restricted area shot, if you can take that away, then he doesn't attack. He's not physical. So the problem is we go right back, shot clock's winding down, and we continue to then rely on Jalen Brunson to save us, because when we play the elite teams, the only guy on this team that can create a semblance of a shot is Jalen Brunson. That's the problem with this roster, is it's a little bit discombobulated, although on paper it sounds good. OG in the corner, Mikal on the other corner, Karl-Anthony Towns a stretch 5, Josh Hart's going to clean the boards, and you have Jalen Brunson. But then when you match it up against the elites, you start to pick apart the little deficiencies of each individual player.
And you can't even use OG on Tatum, which has been like the perfect matchup, because what are you going to do? Put Hart or Bridges on Brown? I mean, the physicality of Brown is just too overpowering for those guys, or the height. Like we saw in the last matchup where you have just Brown shooting over Josh Hart, who very physical player, but just shooting over him.
Ball pressure disrupts us. Yeah. Ball pressure disrupts us, because think about it. When you put ball pressure on OG, we panic. When you put ball pressure on Mikal, he stops his dribble. He looks to pass it to somebody. You know why we have we don't turn the ball over as much, but when we do, and when we make mistakes, we make these dumb mistakes, these dumb passes. It's because we don't have a lot of ball handlers on this team. And we have to always rely on Jalen Brunson. Our wings are not ball handlers. That's the problem. So when elite teams scout us, they say, as soon as these guys touch the ball, if it ain't Jalen, pressure the ball. On-ball defense, play tight, disrupt the lanes. They will make mistakes, and it will disrupt their offense. And with this team, they don't have an identity. You disrupt their offense just enough. This team, soft identity, they're out of the game. That's how you beat the Knicks.
That's gonna have to be. Also doesn't help when Karl-Anthony Towns is trying to attack off the dribble from the top of the key. Every single time it ends up being terrible.
Well, this is where, you have to have Mikal Bridges actually this offseason take that next step, because he was supposed to be the other playmaker, initiator for this team. That's kind of what he was, doing a little bit out in Brooklyn. He's got to learn how to be that blend of Phoenix Bridges and Brooklyn Bridges. And We're not even getting that. You know, it's neither. And so that's the inconsistent play. But if anything, he's got to be the one to work on that. He has to be that guy. It's not going to be OG. It's not going to be Cat. It's like Josh can do it from Spurs, but he's the guy who has to do it for this starting five. Because that was the one thing. For as much as Randall like deserved his criticism, he was at least the other guy that could, bring the ball up and start initiating. You need somebody else that can do that. It has to be Bridges. So if it ain't this season, it's got to be next season.
Well, that's why I say that a team like the Cavs can win it all, because they have damn near all five guys that can put the ball on the floor. Save for Jared Allen, but that's not his job. He does his job very well. But if you look at from Garland to Mitchell to Evan Mobley to even DeAndre Hunter off the bench to Ty Jerome off the bench, like, they have a lot of good ball handlers who can put the ball on the floor and score. That's what the Celtics had last year.
That's the other thing. Guys. And that's why it's a little tricky too, CP, because when you talk about Towns being at the top of the key, when Jalen Brunson's on the floor, I guess against a Cavaliers matchup, I can understand maybe why they tried to, because it's like at some point in the game, you got to try to feature Mikal, no? Like, you got to try to get him going. But then again, this is the problem. Since he's not a true elite shot creator, ball handler, you're either got to run him through a screen or you got to put him in the post. Like, how else are you going to get him going if you're not going to create a shot for him in rhythm?
You want to know that answer? You got to give him the RJ treatment. He's got to be that guy running with second units. Have him go be that guy to impose his wall on second units and go get that offense through there. And, like, we asked for Towns to be that, for Brunson to be that. That's why I liked a little bit against the Bulls last night. There was no Brunson, no Cat. You give it to Mikal Bridges. Let him go learn and earn that. It's the only way, man. That's the only way. If you're going to run it back with this roster, it doesn't even matter who the coach is. If he can't do that, this team is still going to have to rely on Brunson. And it doesn't even matter if you want to go through how many dribbles Brunson has and all that type of stuff and say Brunson holds on to the ball for too long. It does not matter, because nobody else in that starting five will be able to break down the defense, get to the rack, and do everything as efficiently as Jalen Brunson.
Oh, did I lose something? Did I lose? All right. All right. Let's get to two more. I see two more new callers. Let's go rapid fire. Let's go. Modern King 90. Go ahead and unmute your mic. Modern King 90.
Hey, what's going on, guys?
How you doing?
And first time caller. I just want to say that I definitely just want to see this team with Mitch on the floor. I want to see how they match up with the bigger teams with Mitch on the floor, because obviously on television they're nowhere matching up with Boston, Cleveland, or Oklahoma City. So that's just my quick take.
Okay, appreciate the call, man.
Thank you.
Straight to the point. He says he needs to block Ness
Man.
back.
That was the most rapid fire call I think in KFTV history.
Forget 5. That's a 6-star call.
It's facts.
After 2 hours, you need some of those calls.
Yeah, raw deal. Go ahead and unmute your mic. Raw deal. Do we have raw deal? All right, raw deal missing his cue, so we'll get him out of there. All right, so we'll wrap up with the Knicks fix. Go ahead and unmute your mic.
CP, Alex, JD, what up, fellas?
Good, how you doing?
All right, man. This is I listened to the whole show tonight. I'm just like, damn. Damn. The first thing I'm gonna ask you guys, right? Have you guys been keeping up with St. John's basketball?
Here and there. Actually supposed to be going to the game on Sunday. So I'll check in and see what's going on.
Okay, so the reason why I asked that is that they are balling. Like that team is balling, bro. Like they represent Queens to the best. So Pitino got a couple guys on that squad. So he's got Aaron Scott. If you guys go to the game on Sunday against UConn, check them out, man. So it's Aaron Scott, Kadari Richmond, RJ Lewis, and Zubi Ejiofor. Right? There's a show on Vice. It's called Pitino Red Storm Rising. Right? And he talks like they have like it pretty much talks about how Pitino adjusted to the teams that he coached. So in 1987, he was like the godfather of the 1987 Providence team that he revolutionized like 3-point scoring. And he said in the show, like, yo, my team wasn't good enough. We weren't athletic enough. We couldn't rebound. And the only way that I knew that I could win was to get these kids in shape and shoot the three. And he took that team to the Final Four, right? If you look at the episode, you'll see like backdoor. You see Patino is 70 years old, absolutely yelling at these kids, man. Just like he's got a fiery intensity about him. Now the thing is, like when I look at the Knicks, right? That's the thing that I love basketball from like all different views. The thing is, Patino said, in order to win, every team is not the same, so you have to adjust accordingly. Now, if you're looking at the Knicks, do you ever see us like? I'm just curious, right? Do we ever run a different defense? Have you ever seen a zone or a box and one or anything? Right? There was a play last night. I don't know if you guys remember. I wanted to call in Alex and tell you, but like there was a play in the first or second quarter of that Bulls game. Cat gave up a three to Vuk, and you could see JB just yelling at the dude, cover him, right? You could see him yelling, and Cat doesn't move. Tonight, I saw the same thing again, and I'm just like, yo, there's something fundamentally wrong with the. I bringing Mitch back not gonna fix this, right? Where it's like, all right, so we bring back Mitch, but then if we put Cat, we have to be able to cross match. To your point, JD, the Knicks have to be able to cross match against these other teams. Now, what I'm trying to say is, if you bring back Mitch, you got to play him because Cat's playing at the five won't work. So against Boston, I feel like the Knicks should probably stick him against Derek White, right? So now he's nowhere near the paint. Against the Cavs, there's only two options. Now Darius Garland has to be guarded by McHale. So that means you're most likely going to put JB on Strus, which means Cat will have to guard Mobley. This is the adjustments that, like, are we going to make these adjustments in the playoffs? This is the thing. What gets me, like, this is what makes the difference between Tibbs' regular season and playoffs. So if you don't make these adjustments, this is why the fan base is pretty much like, yo, bring in new ideas, new culture, because what we're doing doesn't work. So to answer your question, CP, you said earlier if anybody knew about Johnny Bryant's style, call in. So the thing is, Johnny Bryant actually was famous for developing Paul Millsap, Damian Lillard, and Spider. The thing is, he was also, a lot of people don't know this. So I'm a big poster in Real GM, like the Nick forums. So he was also really, really big on developing Dante. So he pushed for Dante to start and shoot, just light it up from threes. So I don't know. The question I have for you guys is, yo, I know, JD, you talked about McHale, right? You talked about McHale earlier, saying that he might be the problem. The problem with the team isn't that McHale just didn't wake up and not guard, right? He didn't wake up and not be able to guard. If you put him in positions, he shows you that he has the capability to do so. Against that, the last play in the Bulls game, he blocks Vuk. Why? Because he's not lined up at the perimeter, having to come off the screens and all of this nonsense. I think, yo, honestly, man, this is what I really want to see. They're not going to do this, but this is the lineup I wish I could see. 1, JB, 2, Deuce, right? Because his point of attack on defense is crunching other guards. And the thing that got me so pissed off tonight was you barely saw Deuce. You lit it up last night. You barely see him. 2, Deuce, 3, McHale, 4, Cat, 5, Mitch. So I don't know, man. It's just so many things. You're looking at the squad. I'm like, next year we can change a few things. We could do this and do that. We could bring in Giannis. We could bring in whoever else. You could trade for KD. That's not going to win us the ring. If we don't fundamentally adjust to today's game, you're going to lose. The other team scored 9 more 3-pointers, man. Anyway, fellas, man, I don't know. Sunday night's going to be Sunday morning, whatever time that game is, 2:00. I feel like that's another blowout, right? Like, all right, man.
All right, man. Stay up, man.
Anything else?
You still got Saturday, man. You still got Saturday. Make sure you got a good Saturday before Sunday. All right.
At this point, I might as well. The team's gonna finish with a 55-win record.
Tell me about it.
They're gonna finish with a 55-win record. I'm afraid, like Chuck said, I'm afraid to play against Detroit. Any other team, I feel like we could beat. Detroit is physical, bro. Like that team is like That's a physical wing team. And if the Knicks lose in a gentleman's sweep in the first round, if you play Detroit, there's a high probability of that happening.
All right, we got time though, man. We gonna wrap because we've been on for like 2.5 hours. We got time before playoffs.
All right, fellas.
Yeah, we gonna table it till Sunday, man. We'll call back anytime though.
All right, fellas, take it easy.
Yeah, enjoy the Saturday, man. It's Saturday now.
Yeah, after a few hours, my man said we could be anybody. I'm scared of Detroit though. I say, come on, CP, if you take 10 more seconds, if you 10 more,
yeah,
because I know you heard that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because like when you keep going and going, the fatigue starts setting in. So I think the brain starts like missing points.
Yo,
man, say, I think we could be anybody, but the team I'm scared of is the Detroit Pistons.
JD got Aggie tonight, boy. First it was LD's call. That Knicks Fix was about to get JD off the rails.
Call back anytime, man. I literally haven't stopped working 7:30 this morning. So my man went from St. John's to the game to the lineup to the playoffs. Knicks Fix took us all over the world. He took
us all Johnny Bryant's resume.
Johnny Bryant resume. We did say rapid fire everybody.
Well, CP, you know how it goes, man. You say rapid fire, you get the fastest one, apparently, in KFTV history, and then someone's gonna go on a sermon.
All good, man. It's all for the love of the game. It's all for the love of the game.
Now, would Knicks Fix call be up there with Benji's? Benji Manhattan.
Nah, Benji's he's had some rapids. Since we lost the phone lines, we haven't heard from him. We might have to find another switchboard effect. You know what I'm saying? Might have to find another switchboard. So, yeah, it's been a long night.
You know when someone has had a call where they said so many points that when it's your turn to respond to it, you're like, I don't know which point to even respond to. He said,
that's what I'm saying.
Where do I begin? Like, where do I gather myself?
Well, in other news.
Oh, man.
Another news. I finally got to say thanks to CP. It took 3 years to finally get it, but
there you go.
I finally got
the beanie.
I finally got the beanie.
There you go, man. Yeah.
Well, if it took you 3 years, it's gonna take me another 2.
I told you got to show up to the watch party, man. I had them all. I had them all for the watch party. We sold like 3 of them at the watch party. You just got to come to the watch party, man. Pull up, man. Absolutely. I had the whole table. I had the bottles. I had wings. I had a fry sampler. Waffle fries. We had tater tots. All of that, man. You know how we do at the watch party, man.
Right. I'll go.
Eight goods, sliders.
Let me see. Hold on. What's our schedule like?
You're gonna go to the Knicks Wizards watch party next, right, JD?
Yes, that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking at what's a safe one that I can actually, because
the next year we doing Wizards, Raptors, Nets, open practice. We do.
Oh wow! I guess the safest. Don't worry, JD. The safest one that you got, the Brooklyn Nets, April 13th. Don't worry, my man.
Yeah, we doing summer league. That's what we gonna do.
No, we do get the Wizards. We got the Wizards on March 22nd. My apologies.
There we go.
There you go, JD. There it is.
I'll host a makeup one before playoffs. Wizards. There it is. That's what I'll do. Is that a weekend?
That is, it is. It's a Saturday. Look at that one.
There it is. Prime time. We back. That's what we're gonna do. A playoff tune-up. Watch.
Well, you know what that means. You know what that means. That game.
Yeah.
Jordan Poole dropping 60.
Double overtime. Jordan Poole. Alex Saw coming alive.
Yeah. I'll end my night with this note, which is pretty unfortunate. It's pretty whack. This team has low-key created an environment now where, because I'm looking at the rest of the schedule and I'm thinking about the playoffs and I'm just like looking at their schedule. They have some good games remaining, but they've created something now where it just won't matter. If it ain't versus Cavaliers, Boston, like I don't think fans, like it just won't matter anymore. You got a nice game against Golden State coming up on ABC. You got a nice game at LA, TNT. You know, those are good spotlight games against. You got Curry coming to the Garden. You win those games, it's okay, nice. You beat those big market teams, but it's like I think now because of the way they've played, it's like it's just not gonna matter anymore. It's kind of whack. Like if they would have won a few of those, it's just that anticipation of hope for the next time you play them. But it's like they're so good versus the mid-tier teams and so bad versus the top teams that it's like it's just very unfortunate they've created that kind of environment for the rest of the season.
Nothing a 5-game win streak can't fix.
You know what I
mean? You go through that West Coast trip, you get a little 4 out of 5. The windows will start popping up. Man.
You could ease the windows. All right, no one has jumped out the window yet. Okay,
all right,
relax.
You still got another one against
Cleveland. They win Sunday though, or they win Sunday though.
Windows are wide open.
We jumping right back out the window. Outside. They win Sunday. We jumping right back out the window.
Yeah, man. All right, let me read these super chats and wrap. Shout out to everybody, man. Shout out to everybody.
I got you. I know where we left off. It's all right.
Go ahead.
I got you. Shout out to M Suave for the $2 super chat. Appreciate it. Shout out to Desmond Drew for becoming a franchise channel member. We got KL007 for the $10 super chat saying Precious is not it. If Dadier develops and Mitch is healthy, this is a different team. Once everyone is back, Hart coming off the bench changes the complexion of the team when Mitch eventually starts. I just don't see Mitch starting though.
No,
he's not going to start, man. But one can dream. And then the last one that we got Tizzy73. Shout out to the $5 super chat for being a franchise channel member. Says Tibbs is our Mark Jackson. I'm thankful for all he's done, but we got to flip him for more modern philosophies.
And hey, Steve Kerr Johnny Bryant might be our Steve Kerr, CP.
All right. Hey, Mike.
Hey, Steve Kerr got hired as a first-time coach off the broadcast.
I wouldn't be surprised. He had some good schemes in my, charity basketball. He got some good schemes. Hi,
I heard they were running a double drag for you.
Very fast pace. My heart was jumping out of my chest out of the first couple possessions. I was old as hell and out of shape. I said, Coach, you got to slow it down. You got to slow it down. I just got back out of retirement.
I got to move at the pace of the New York Knicks, man. We got to move at a very slow
pace. I couldn't breathe. I couldn't breathe out there. I'm not going to lie to you. Yeah, we were running and gunning. Did you guys say Quizzy? $5 super chat?
Say Quizzy. Is that earlier? No, I did not get
say Quizzy. Did you see that one?
No, did not see Say Quizzy super chat.
He said, shout out to Say Quizzy. He said, better roster, but getting beat by 30. The math, not math, and someone drug test them. Uchi and McCall are easy to guard. They have 6'2" players on them. Yeah, he's right.
That was the guy that said that the Knicks, the only two teams in the NBA that have a better roster than the Knicks are the Rockets and OKC.
No. That was LD. LD is the one that said that, not Say Quizzy.
Well, guess what? I still wanted to say that.
Oh, LD called in?
Yes, sir.
Oh, man, I missed a doozy. What LD have to say?
He said that the only two teams with a better roster than the New York Knicks are the Oklahoma City Thunder and the Houston Rockets.
He said, wait. Say that one more time.
The only two teams in the NBA that have a better full roster, 1 through 15, and the G League in the NBA, the only two teams are in the West, the Houston Rockets and the Oklahoma City Thunder are the only two teams in the whole NBA that have better roster than the Knicks.
Tonight. Oh, shit. I'm watching all clips. The only two teams that have a better roster than the Knicks are OKC and Houston.
Don't think too hard about it, CP.
I'm sorry, man. My brain is just mushed right. Like I said, but
I think CP is dead serious, still trying to understand the question.
I think he's glitching.
Yeah.
I think CP's actually glitching.
I'm looking at something on Twitter. Say it one more time, and I got you.
Oh my God.
This is what 40 does to you?
The only two teams in the NBA that have a full better roster than the New York Knicks are the Houston Rockets, who play in the state of Texas on the Western Conference.
Got you.
And the Oklahoma City Thunder, that team that Durant used to play in the West.
So he
two.
He don't think the Celtics and the Cavs have a better roster.
He don't think the Cavs. He doesn't think the Celtics. He doesn't think.
Come on, man.
He thinks the Knicks have a better roster than us.
He was going at me because I was asking him who you think is better, Peyton Pritchard or Deuce McBride. He was like coming up with something about Deuce.
Oh my God! Come on, LD, man. That's why I had to run it back, because it didn't make sense what you were saying.
CP legitimately froze. He glitched.
It didn't make sense. It just did not make sense. So yeah, no, come on, LD, come on, man. No, just no, man. All right.
You see, Alex, that's why I told you yesterday he wasn't really producing. It was the Knicks chick. It's getting late. He can't even understand questions. The guy's cooked, man. He's cooked.
Listen, man, I was up this morning editing y'all videos, putting podcasts up, replay gangs up, did my Bleacher Report show at 5 o'clock. I got little man home on winter break, running around raggedy. I got an hour and a half drive to the city for the watch party. Sat through a 40-point blowout. Come back home to do another hour with you two. Hour and a half, damn near, I guess. We damn near on 2.5, because y'all was running for an hour. So we did an hour and a half post game. It's now 1 o'clock in the morning. I've been going to 7:30.
Damn, we running for 2.5 hours on a loss. That's nasty.
On a loss,
bro. We had calls out the wazoo today. we had over 15. It felt like 10, 15 calls.
Yeah. It's one of those nights, man. I'm one show for the fans by the fans. What can you do? It's a tough life, but somebody's got to do it, man. That's why you guys are who you are, man. You know?
Yeah,
and we're back for more pain on Sunday.
We're degenerates. We're a bunch of degenerates.
As Joe Beningo says, the pain.
The pain, man. Yeah, that's it. All right, man. Daniel.
JD's trying to get me on a jet. I'm not talking jets, bro. You relax over there.
Yeah. Oh, hold on. Daniel, I don't know. Do you have the outro music? I just sent you on Twitter. Being coach, man. Throw that up on the jumbotron as we outro. Throw that up, man. You know, maybe one day the New York Knicks will understand the schemes of one Johnny Bryant, man. This is back in the charity game. Shout out to Daniel. But yeah, man. Remember that this show is available in audio podcast format. No reason to miss it. Shout out to the replay gang. Shout out to everybody who called in tonight on today's marathon show. We'll be back on Sunday, man. Back on Sunday as the Knicks take on the Boston Celtics. And there we go. We out here, man. Daniel, take us home, man. We out here. Alex Shady, great show.